3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the place yet not overly ostentatious studios of Mandalay Bay, inside day number 2 of Radio Row here in Las Vegas. This is the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local CBS Sports Radio affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. You can always give us a call, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You can always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. We're broadcasting to you live inside Mandalay Bay at the Convention Center. We're here all throughout the week, all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific for CBS Sports Radio's coverage as we get you set for the big game. Got Moist Mike to my right, Stuart Kovacs back in New York City, and we got an action-packed show for you today. Shawne Merriman's going to stop by. Will Levis, the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, going to stop by as well. Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Former 49ers kicker Robbie Gould. And then Patriot wide receiver Kendrick Bourne as well. So a whole lot cooking. We were at the zoo last night of opening night at the Raider Stadium, Legion Stadium, which is phenomenal. And I will say this, too, before we get into this Diana Rossini report talking about Mike Vrabel, which the whole thing just seems weird. We'll get into a little of Eric Bieniemy and his future in the NFL in just a second. But I looked out of the corner of my eye last night, and I saw something that was very special. And I knew we were in Las Vegas, and I knew we would run into one person, bare minimum this week, that Michael Samter has a pretty good relationship with. And I am shocked by how close the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders and Mark Davis is with Moist Mike. Last time he personally greeted you when you walked into the NFL draft, and he was right in the lobby of the Cosmopolitan, which we were staying at the last time we were here. A lot better than where we're currently staying, which I've already got a little bit sick and tired with the smell of our current establishment. But, hey, it's all paid for. I'm having a good time. It takes me about 10 minutes to walk here, do the show. So I'm not going to be one of those jags in radio that just bitches and complains about how they're not getting the esteemed conditions, let's just say the least. But last night, I looked out of the corner of my eye, and I just saw Moist Mike and Mark Davis with that disgusting-looking haircut having a special moment, and there was a little twinkle in his eye, and it was very nice that you guys could rekindle that relationship.
I mean, I don't want to say bestie, but it's not far off. I mean, I enjoy spending time with you, Zach, but when I see Mark Davis, there's just like a special connection. It's kind of like Bo Derek running across the beach in slow motion in that movie way back then. That's kind of, how it feels when we see each other from across the room. Maybe Travis Kelce's in the way, maybe Patrick Mahomes is in the way, but nothing is going to get in the way of me and Mark Davis. And he was with a scrum and a crowd of people. He saw me, and the embrace was just so authentic. I could not resist.
He took off his hairpiece and put it on your head.
Don't talk about my bestie like that, sir.
And not only that, Samter and I, as we basically took over the Travis Kelce media availability last night, which we'll get into that in just a second. And if you think that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift is not the biggest story of Super Bowl week, then I have a bridge to sell you, and I'll sell that to you at about 6:05 p.m. Eastern, 3:05 p.m. Pacific today, because Patrick Mahomes, I've never seen a Super Bowl where Tom Brady is at, right, and anyone else usurped the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is kind of in that class now, and the first 48 minutes out of the 60 minutes that Travis Kelce spent talking to the media last night was question after question after question after question in regards to Taylor Swift. There was really some scene last night inside Legion Stadium.
And it's funny because we got there pretty early, and we thought the crowd was already big when we got there. Getting out of the crowd after you got to speak to Travis Kelce was harder than getting into the crowd, because the crowd formed behind us. And when I'm looking at that picture in the newspaper this morning of the crowd around him and seeing where we were standing, it felt like the crowd was way bigger than I realized. Like, while we were standing there, I'm like, the crowd looks pretty big here. It's definitely bigger than Mahomes' crowd. Looking at that picture and walking out of that crowd last night, I've never seen anything like that. In the history of Radio Row, in the history of Media Night, in the history of Opening Night, in the history of the Super Bowl, I've never seen a crowd like that for a single player.
So I was doing a hit on one of the local stations, and they said, what's the biggest story of Super Bowl week? I go, you really have to ask that question? Like, I didn't want to be a pretentious radio guy. I go, it's clearly Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But they're like, what about the storylines on the field? And I go, okay, how do you talk about Brock Purdy and then Patrick Mahomes and his ascension up the all-time great list? I go, the Mahomes storyline we'll talk about for the next 10 years. As long as he has his good health. Brock Purdy, we'll see how we're talking about him on Monday. Even though Kyle Shanahan flirted with Brady last year, it's clear that he's going to be their starting quarterback next year, barring an injury on Sunday, which would just be that terrible. Those storylines, they kind of seem pedestrian. And I know you could have the macho man football guy go, oh, I don't need to hear you talk about Taylor Swift. I don't need to hear you talk about Travis Kelce. It's a fun storyline. It's good. There's nothing negative about it. And, I know a lot of people are lecturing now, and a lot of people are trying to just sell this storyline. I don't see how anyone could actually legitimately be annoyed with Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift. These are two people that I think I was ahead of the curve on this. I do think they love each other. Ooh, I said the L word. And it's fun to see how many more eyeballs she has brought to the sport. And you know this, the NFL doesn't need more money. The NFL doesn't need more attention. The NFL doesn't need more people watching the games when you look through the analytics. But she is maybe the one person that has been able to drive so much more attention and bring extra buzz to the NFL. And a lot of times when we're at the Super Bowl, there's always like a negative storyline or two that comes out where the league looks bad or the NFL did something shady. This is a positive story. So I don't get, unless you're a human being and you're just a nerd that is only football, and I only care about football, and you can't have any personality or any fun. Like I was with Perloff last night, and he's like FaceTiming his daughter saying, "Hey, this is Taylor Swift's boyfriend." And I know I make jokes about it all the time, where he's one of the greatest tight ends of all time. And I say, oh, Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map. Like, he was a big deal, don't get me wrong. But he's now turned into an icon. Like, it is insane, the coverage. And it's not just traditional media here. Like, don't get me wrong. To the left is NBC. To the right is Fox. Obviously, we're CBS. You have a lot of traditional media here that comes to the Super Bowl every year. But the amount of gossip blogs that were around last night was just wild. And I will say, if you live in New York, or if you don't, the New York Post, sometimes I don't always write the nicest things about CBS Sports Radio, but if you look at the New York Post today, you could do a little Where's Waldo, and you could find yours truly and Samter on the back page of the New York Post today, and it's all about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Now, I'm not surprised, my friend, that in a crowd of how many people were probably around him last night? 550, 600 people?
At least.
Yeah. I stand out because I am a gargantuan human being. I am a tall human being. The fact that we could see your face smack right in the middle with all those people, Samter, and I know that your Twitter handle is Big Mike CBS. You know how to get on the back page of a newspaper, though, because even you said to me last night, I'm shocked you could see me in this photo.
And of course, in the picture, I'm looking down at my phone because that's basically what I do all day anyway. But yeah, I was kind of happy. It felt like Where's Waldo?
Yes.
Right? I sent
we
it
should have put a little red cap on you, a little Chiefs cap.
Well, I sent it to my wife. I said, find me. And it took her a little bit, but she eventually found me.
She had to get a magnifying glass.
That's not the first time. What? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think that was a shot at yourself.
That was a self burn.
Wow.
Yes. Listen.
We are growing here with Samter.
Not me. I'm not growing. I stopped growing about 30 years ago, and it wasn't a very big growth spurt to begin with.
So anyway, I want to start the show off today because we got a bunch of guests stopping by. Shawne Merriman coming up in 10 minutes. Will Levis going to join us. Trevor Lawrence as well. Robbie Gould. Kendrick Bourne. But I got to play you this report. And the actual reporting isn't dumb because Diana Rossini is credible. Diana Rossini is plugged in. If she says something, I don't think Diana Rossini is just saying this to kind of gain clout or make a headline. She is an old school style reporter, and she is plugged in. But whoever this anonymous general manager is, I will say it right now, without even knowing who it is because it's an anonymous GM, he is the dumbest GM that I've ever encountered. And if this is true, because sometimes you may say something to someone, and I think we've all told like a white lie or something in the past, and you massage, the truth a little bit. But if this general manager is actually serious, it is just maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard in the history of watching and covering football. This is Diana Rossini via The Athletic on a conversation that she had with a anonymous general manager on why Mike Vrabel may not have been hired in this cycle.
Do you know I had a GM at the Senior Bowl who mentioned to me Vrabel's physical build, that he's a very large human being and can be very intimidating to people in an organization that are going to be part of these decisions. And that is a factor.
What are we doing? Football, last time I checked, is a large person sport. So you're going to tell me now, because Mike Vrabel, a former player, is jacked, Mike Vrabel is a large human being, that this is why he's not getting hired? Because he's too intimidating and he has a presence around him? So let me get this right. They think in the decision-making process, when you have to get into a room and make a decision, the general manager or the president of the team or the owner is going to have like urine run down their right leg because they're going to be shaking in their boots because big bad Mike Vrabel is buffed? So you're telling me then Dan Campbell shouldn't be the head football coach of the Lions. Antonio Pierce then, he shouldn't be the head football coach of the Raiders. What Diana said and what she is reporting, I'm not knocking that someone didn't say that to her. But whoever this anonymous GM is shouldn't be in football. And if that's an actual reason why he got passed up on this cycle, then a lot of these other teams, if let's say they operated this way and that's not why they hired him, they need to reevaluate the entire, and I mean the entire, hiring cycle process. This is just so stupid. Stupid beyond belief. If you would have told me a day ago, we'd be sitting here at the Super Bowl and we would be saying why Mike Vrabel didn't get hired is because he looks too intimidating, WTF. Seriously. That is some of the dumbest, and I mean dumbest, piece of information that I've ever heard. And I want to know who that anonymous general manager is, and I want to smack him right across the face because I don't need to hear that bull junk, as Coach Prime would say, come out of his mouth anymore.
So I guess my question is, are we going after the GM for relaying information that he heard from within an organization?
Whoever, all right, GM
or whoever,
or whatever organization operates that way.
Correct.
Whoever your owner is should be forced to sell the team.
And my thought would be that it's only one specific organization, right?
Ooh.
And I don't know which one. It could be the Commanders. It could be the Falcons. It could be
the
Seahawks.
It can't be the Panthers because David Tepper would just throw a drink in Mike Vrabel's face and tell him to cool out. So it can't be Carolina.
First of all, David Tepper's throwing drinks in drunk Jaguar fans' faces. He's not throwing a drink in Vrabel's face because Vrabel would pound Tepper to the ground. So, like,
but I will say, I love Matt Rule. He doesn't look intimidating. I love Frank Reich. Doesn't look intimidating, so maybe it is Tepper.
It could be. And listen, I would imagine that it's not multiple teams saying Vrabel is really intimidating. Now, maybe Vrabel comes off as intimidating when you speak to him, right? Maybe he's one of those guys that, forget about just his size, but, like, you walk around the office and, like, he frightens people with the way he approaches them and talks to them and maybe his attitude.
He's a football coach.
Right, but, like, we brought up Dan Campbell and Antonio Pierce. Yeah. Maybe they have more positive demeanors, and it's not their size per se that is intimidating. It's the way they approach people. So maybe, and I don't know Mike Vrabel, but I've seen him doing the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. He seems like a fun, cool guy.
You know what? If you want to tell me you're concerned because he said he would chop off his piece of deal to win a Super Bowl, okay, that would be a more valid reason than Mike Vrabel looks too intimidating.
Yeah,
this is the Once again, I'm not going after the reporting of Diana. But whoever told this to Diana could be one of the dumbest you-know-whats that I've ever talked to. You know what? Shawne Merriman's coming up in a few minutes. I'm afraid to interview Shawne Merriman because this dude's jacked. He looks intimidating. So I don't think we could sit down with Shawne Merriman. Like, whatever jackwagon operates that way, why you can't hire a football coach, you know what? Let's just have everyone slap the players on the ass and go, woo, this is football. Let's go play patty cake. Let's not hit anybody. This is absurd. I understand the new philosophy of a coach is a player's coach that's not a doormat, but Mike Vrabel looks too intimidating. That's why we can't hire him. Whoever that organization is, you're a loser, you're always going to be a loser, and you'll be hiring a new coach within 3 years. Less than 3 years, you could guarantee it. All righty. It is the Zach Gelb Show, live on Radio Row, Super Bowl 58. I think we brought some energy and some life into this place on day number 2 inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. I'm just waiting for someone to come over, and they're going to be like, shut this guy up. He's too loud. He's bleeding over into all of our stations and going over all the affiliates. So we're on multiple stations. I think I'm the only guy that's been also picked up by Fox and NBC and Pro Football Talk and 98.5 The Sports Hub all on the same day, because I'm definitely bleeding into all these stations right now. All righty, we'll take a timeout. One of our favorites, Shawne Merriman, going to join us when the Zach Gelb Show continues live at Mandalay Bay Convention Center in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, day number 2, Zach Gelb Show, CBS Sports Radio, inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. Now joining us, this guy's on with us all the time in studio in New York City, so now we come to his turf, and he goes, I got to come on, obviously. That's former All-Pro linebacker Shawne Merriman, who now has this great Lights Out Extreme Fighting, and you can check it out all the time on Fubo Sports, and I feel like this just keeps on getting bigger and bigger, my friend.
Yeah. We got another big one next Friday, Long Beach, California. Lights Out Extreme Fighting 14. We'll be live on Football Sports TV. But this one a little different. This one's different. We got some up and coming superstars. Alvin Morales, Tommy Aaron, AJ Hodgkins that play linebacker at Oregon. He's opening the card. He's our first TV fight of the night. But we're introducing the Lights Out Tech gloves. It's going to be able to measure speed, power punch, impact, G-force. And be able to display some of this data up on the screen. So this is a big step in with us and something I've been planning for the last year. So to be able to introduce this tech and give the fans somebody's knockout power or speed of a punch or where it get landed at, I think it's going to be very interactive for the fan at home.
So you work in an intimidating business. The NFL is an intimidating business as well. And I am listening to this Diana Rossini report the other day that an anonymous general manager told her that the reason Mike Vrabel didn't get hired could have been he's too intimidating, and that could be a problem when you get into the decision-making room. People could be afraid of him. Like, what are we doing anymore? Like this, I understand player safety is important. I understand the my way or the highway type of coach doesn't work anymore. But now Mike Vrabel, who's a damn good coach, could not be getting hired because he's too intimidating?
I think that's total garbage. It's some guy that was behind a copy machine and ran into him on an accident and probably got scared of him. You know what I mean?
That's now a general manager.
It's now a general manager.
GM,
but I'm just saying that the locker room is filled with massive human beings. Right. Not only just the players, you got former players as coaches. Mm-hmm. These guys ain't that much smaller than when they played. So everybody's used to being around big guys in the building. I just think that's more of a shot at Mike Vrabel than anything. And trying to, you need something, right? Because we can't understand. We don't get why Mike Vrabel doesn't have a job right now. And so somebody somewhere has to come up with something to say this is why. Because outside of that, what's the other reason why he doesn't have a job? There is none.
The only thing that I could think of is that he's a very smart dude. And sometimes when you are the smartest guy in the room, that, good choice of words here, intimidates someone. But I don't think it's because he's too strong, he's too jacked. That's why you don't hire him. And also the other thing, I really do believe he wanted out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I think he had his eyes set on New England, but New England promoted from within with Gerard Mayo. So the other part is, how active was he really in trying to pursue a job in this cycle?
I don't think he was that active, to be honest. I mean, obviously being outside of Tennessee, and let's say this, he hasn't had all the best talent. I mean, running back position, some other positions, but he ain't had a franchise quarterback.
No, and not only that, they've been a number 1 overall seed. They've been to an AFC title game, and I've never looked at his teams and said they have a great roster. So it even is more of an endorsement on Vrabel as a coach.
Yeah, because it's just the same thing with Dan Campbell. He instilled a mentality with this team. They have never. They had a couple superstars in Derrick Henry. They had at positions, never at the quarterback position, and outside of maybe A.J. Brown at wide receiver. Yeah. But again, if you don't have a quarterback throwing to him, how great can A.J. Brown be in the first place? So, and they relied on running the ball, being tough, playing tough defense. That's the mentality that Mike Vrabel instilled. What other 31 teams don't want that? What other 31 teams don't want that mentality in their locker room? So there's something else. And I mean, and if it is that he was looking at that Patriots job and didn't get it, and that was the only one he had his eyes on, that is crazy to me because there's plenty of hires right now. Seattle would have been a great.
Right?
I thought
you basically would have been getting a younger Pete Carroll.
You would have got a younger Pete Carroll, a guy that can understand play.
That's established.
Play the game. That's established. That now he got a better roster than he did in Tennessee other than at the running back position.
The team that I think it's the most ridiculous, as Shawne Merriman's here with us, the Commanders.
Yeah.
They wanted Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson didn't want them.
Yeah.
So he goes back to Detroit. Nothing against DQ Dan Quinn. Good football coach.
Yep.
But that seemed like an underwhelming hire to me. You would have had a lot of excitement, more excitement, I think, than you would have if you hired Ben Johnson, if you would have brought in Mike Vrabel.
I think that, Mike Vrabel comes in with a lot of, like you said, and not just being the smartest room. He's imposing, like just a outspoken, commands a room. If you get around Mike Vrabel, forget about him being big. It's just he has his personality who he's going to command the respect of the guys. And maybe that passed down that they didn't want that much pull in the locker room, a pull in the organization. So I don't – for Mike Vrabel to be on the street right now is one of the most ridiculous things that I think we've seen in some time.
And this is an alpha sport. I don't want some guy walking in the locker room that isn't intimidated, doesn't have confidence. I'm not saying you have to be a drill sergeant, do 3,000 up-downs when something doesn't go your way. That doesn't work anymore. But you got to connect with grown men.
Yeah.
And I don't need some guy that isn't going to be confident in that locker room. That's how you're going to be destined to fail, and the players won't respect the coach.
No, 100%. And then too, somebody's going to establish a mentality from day one. Because every year Mike Vrabel as coach, even when his teams wasn't that good, what do? They're physical. They run the ball well. They create turnovers. That's the mentality he passed down, regardless of if they had a star quarterback or not.
One hire that was exciting, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. That's a big-time feel, and it puts the Chargers in L.A. finally on the map.
Yeah, and it was a big I know everybody's saying congratulations to the Chargers. I think it was a big move on both sides. It was a big move. One for the Chargers, I think that was the only move they could have made. To be quite honest, with the fan base being disgruntled with Staley, the end of the tenure with Staley, Mike, just not being able to fulfill the Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert actually regressed this past year, and the only way that you establish faith back in the fan base, around the organization, get people happy about and feeling good about walking into work every day was to go out and get Jim Harbaugh. That was the only decision, and vice versa. I know we talked about it's a good move for the Chargers. This is a great move for Jim Harbaugh. Like, if you get
Herbert, like you look inside that division right now.
Yeah,
everyone's chasing Mahomes. The Broncos have a coach; they don't have a quarterback. The Raiders have a coach. We think, they don't have a quarterback. Now you have a great coach, and you have a quarterback that's good who has the potential to be great.
Jim Harbaugh has turned around teams that are way worse than the Chargers.
Oh yeah,
talent-wise, way worse. And got them going in a short period of time and kept them going for a good amount of years. Now, he's walking into the best. If he was looking to make that jump to the NFL, it couldn't be a better situation because what other coaching vacancy is open? They got a star quarterback there. They got a wide receiver there. They got two pass rushers, DNs, like a Derwin James. There's nobody else that's loaded like this that you could have made that jump to the NFL. So that's why I say it wasn't just a great move by the Chargers. It's also a great move by Jim Harbaugh.
When you look at this game coming up on Sunday with the 49ers and the Chiefs, Super Bowl 58, what's the number one thing that stands out to you, Shawne Merriman?
The Chiefs have been there. Like, they just – the Buffalo Bills are better than them, talent-wise, better team. The Ravens were better than them.
Yeah, everyone thought the Ravens were going to win.
Yeah, better than them. Somehow, some way, the Chiefs find their way back into this situation again because they know how to win. They're not making no boneheaded mistakes. They're no penalties. And look, the taunting penalty that Flowers had and stuff like that. He has a big ceiling. He's going to be great. In the league for a long time. But you can't make those things happen.
You've been on teams that have been close.
Yeah,
I'm not saying as close as the 49ers. Right, they've been in a Super Bowl before. When you've been that team that's been close and you're going up against the team that's been there, done that, how big is that from a player perspective mentally, you trying to get over the top of that mountain?
It is something that you dream about, right? Because you get the opportunity to get on the field with somebody that's been there as many times as they have. And with Patrick Mahomes on the field, they always got a shot. This will never be a blowout game or something to just get out of hand. It will never be that because Patrick Mahomes is there. So going into this game, you're like, the first thing you got to look at, we got to make no mistakes. That's the one thing that makes the Chiefs so good because they capitalize off of your mistakes. Very much so like the Patriots used to do because when Patriots kicked us out of the playoffs, AFC Championship games, we were a much better team than them. But every single time,
hold on.
We were. We were.
When you guys were 14-2,
Yes.
Yes, you were the better team.
07, we were better. We were a better team.
They
in
were
07.
undefeated.
And we were a better team in 07. But I'm going to tell you this.
You were right on 14-2.
No,
you're wrong. You are wrong on the team that was undefeated.
They might have had a better record. We still had the better team, even in 07. The fact is, Phillip Rivers walked in. He got the
ACL.
The ACL. He got his knee cleaned up just to play in that game. I had a knee. LT had a knee. Gates had a foot. Nick Harwood had a knee. We were Lorenzo. We were all like crawling into that game, and I'm not saying using it as an excuse. We were a better team than the 07 Patriots. But again, you get on the field with somebody that's been there so many times, they will punish you for every mistake that you make. And that's what the Chiefs are going to turn around and do. The Chiefs are going to turn around and punish the 49ers. Any small, minute mistake they make, they will take advantage of it.
All right, here's my biggest question on the game, Shawne Merriman. Do you think eventually Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are going to get married down the road?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think this is genuine. I do.
I think it's not only genuine. I think that not too often you got one of the best tight ends to ever play against the biggest artists.
It's weird. No one needed to put Travis Kelce on the map. He was already on the map.
Right.
But this has gone to a new level. The last night at the opening night, everyone was there. I don't think the guy took one football question. It was Taylor Swift that, Taylor Swift this, Taylor Swift that. And the NFL doesn't need more attention. They don't need more money, but they'll always take it. She's the one person that I can remember in a long time that didn't play football that has brought more attention in a positive way to football.
She brought, I'll tell you how much attention she brought, almost $400 million worth of attention. And so,
can I get $2 million?
Yeah, and so, if you're the NFL, look, people can say what they want. And first of all, she's a great artist, right? And I don't know her personally. I think we came across each other maybe one time some years ago, whatever. But great artist. Seems very respectful to people around her. She's up in the suite. They love her. The NFL hasn't had her on longer than 12 seconds or 14, whatever that number is. So
under a minute in every broadcast.
So we're talking about a very small part, but when you have somebody that's such a global phenomenon, they don't need to do much.
You remember. Mm-hmm. All right, last thing I'll ask you, and then we'll get right back to everything coming up with Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Shawne Merriman here with us. You're in that locker room for the Chiefs. When you watch Brock Purdy, what would your thoughts be? What's going through your mind as you prepare for Brock Purdy?
Just get him uncomfortable. That's the games that they had, that 3 or 4 game stretch. Now, he could have been hurt. I think he had a head or shoulder injury or something like that. He could have been hurt. You get him uncomfortable to make some of these bad throws, and you start to hit him. That's the key. When they lost those games, he was getting hit. He was getting dumped on his back. He was getting constantly hit. And even when he wasn't getting hit, he was hit so much that he started to shuffle his feet and just throw bad passes.
And he didn't have Debo. He didn't have Trent.
Didn't have these guys. What I would do is I would get him uncomfortable early. Stay in his face, even when you don't get hits on him. That's the only way, because the truth to be told, whether you want to call him elite or not, he does elite things.
And he wins games. We've never seen a quarterback in the history of the game be more scrutinized as lining up on the biggest stage on Sunday ever. Yeah, and there's no reason to dislike the guy, too.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. All right, one more time, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Tell me everything we got cooking.
Yep, big fight. Next Saturday, Long Beach, California, Lights Out Extreme Fighting 14. You can get your tickets at lightsoutxf.com. If you're in the SoCal area, we'll also be live on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports, and then we air a week later on Bally's as well.
He is Shawne Merriman. Shawne, always good to see you. Thanks so much, my man.
Thank you.
We're coming on back from Radio Row. When we return, Will Levis is going to join us. Let's send it back to the New York City studio. Standing by with the latest CBS Sports Radio update is the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. Chiefs guard Joe Thuney has been dealing with a pec injury, and head coach Andy Reid said it'll be a long shot if he plays Sunday. Jerick McKinnon, who is off injured reserve, is also facing the same odds. Former Giants head coach Ben McAdoo is reportedly joining the Patriots as an offensive assistant. Joel Embiid's knee injury will take him out of the running for a second straight MVP. The league's leading scorer underwent meniscus surgery and will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. He was averaging over 35 points a game and 11 rebounds. Clayton Kershaw won't be ready to pitch until mid-season, but he will be for the Dodgers. But the 3-time Cy Young Award winner reportedly agreeing to a 1-year deal to return for a 17th season. College basketball tonight. Top-ranked UConn on a roll. Winners of 10 in a row. The Huskies are home to take on Butler, while number 3 North Carolina will host Clemson. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, this is Bart Winkler. I've got a new show weeknights. Join me for the Bart Winkler Show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. only on CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining.
I'm looking forward to improving in that respect and, just being not only a great quarterback, but
We continue. This is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. Now joining us, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. That, of course, is Will Levis, kind enough to join us on behalf of PNG on Radio Row inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. Will, appreciate the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. So you got a little experience on the field this year in your rookie season with Tennessee. Just how do you kind of look back at what you're able to prove and show to the NFL in year one?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I mean, it was crazy. Very unexpected in terms of how the season went and, when the opportunity arose, and a lot of ups and downs, a lot of learning experiences. But all in all, came away with a lot of confidence in myself and a lot of confidence in my ability to, be the quarterback for this team. And got to thank, my great coaches and great players that I was able to play with that helped me throughout it all. And, with my career starting on draft night and going to here, would have never knew what would have happened in between. And even though it was a lot of craziness, I wouldn't have traded it for anything. And I made a lot of big strides, I thought.
Yeah, we all remember that moment when you were stuck in the green room and then you fell to the second round. Everyone thought you were going to go in the first. Clearly, it was surprising. What did that moment kind of teach you, and how did you kind of turn it into a positive?
I mean, it taught me that you never know what's going to happen, and all you can do and handle is your effort and your work ethic and how you approach things going forward. Don't only can you control what you can control. And I had the mindset of, regardless if I was going to go first overall or 33rd overall, it wasn't going to change, how I was going to approach my day-to-day, work in the building. So to get the opportunity when I did, even though it wasn't like on day one, I feel like that was just the plan that was meant for me and the path that was meant for me in my journey. And, it helped me a lot. And I love the spot I'm in right now.
Will Levis here with us. You look back at Mike Vrabel. He was your coach for a year. I know he's since been fired, and now you have Callahan. So you learned the business and the changing side of the NFL rather quickly. When you got the news that Mike wasn't coming back as the head coach, how did you process it?
It was tough. It was tough. I mean, it definitely caught us off guard, and we didn't really know what was going to happen or how it was going to go down or really why it happened. But, it was weird. It sucked for that day or whatever. And then you got to move on, and you got to understand that, you got to just work as hard as you can and be ready to, undertake the challenge of having a new coach and maybe even learning a whole new offense, and that trusting that what the decisions the organization are making are in our best interest. So which we all believe and we're all behind, our owner and in decisions in the organization. So we're looking forward to, what we're doing going forward.
Yeah, what was the first thought when you bring in Bill, right? Brian, you have a new head football coach, and clearly an offensive mind that worked with Joe Burrow the last few years, comes from a football family. It seems like this is a move that is going to even help out the offense even more, right?
Yeah, I mean, I immediately saw the track record of quarterbacks that he'd been able to work with in the past. Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, or at least Super Bowl appearing quarterbacks. And it's for him to be that young and to have that track record and have the impact and have the success he has, it fired me up for sure. And I'm looking forward to learning his ways and to taking as much, in from him as I can.
On the way out with Will Levis, now you're the guy from day one. What do you kind of hope to prove? I know you played a little bit last year, but now having your first full season, the first full offseason, knowing that you're going to be the guy in Tennessee.
Yeah, I want to become, greater in my leadership role on the team, and being a rookie and feeling out, what kind of leader I wanted to be for the team, and being more comfortable, being more vocal, and having the conversations with guys that need to be had. I'm looking forward to improving in that respect, and just being not only a great quarterback but a great leader for this organization.
Hey, Will, I got to ask you this question. I saw this was from Diana Rossini when talking about Mike Vrabel. She said that an anonymous GM told her that Mike's a very large human being and he'd be very intimidating to people in the organization, and maybe that's why he didn't get hired this cycle. You had experience with Mike. I never thought a coach's size could be a reason why he doesn't get a job. Like, do you just kind of laugh when you hear that an anonymous GM said that to Diana?
I heard that, And I don't know if it was like taken out of context or whatever, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was a joke, honestly. I don't know. But no, he can definitely be intimidating, I guess. And, you know, he's a football guy. Some football guys rub the wrong way with non-football guys, you know. So I don't know what the context was or whatever, but he definitely at sometimes can be. But, you know, why wouldn't you want to have that as an attribute in your coach, you know?
Tell me what you're doing today on behalf of PNG, Will.
Yeah, I'm excited to get down to Vegas tonight for the PNG Battle of the Paddles. Tomorrow is the second annual one. We got 8 NFL players in a tournament style competing on the table, playing some ping pong. I'm a decent player myself, so I'm excited to get out and show off my skills. But you can tune into Overtime Season's YouTube channel tomorrow night, Wednesday, February 7th at 8 p.m. to watch us compete in some ping pong.
And then I have to ask you, who do you have in the game?
Oh, I mean, I'm not going to put out a formal pick, I don't think. I'm excited for both teams. It's hard to really pick and choose against either team. I'm just looking for a good game.
All right, so the last thing I'll ask you then, just a conversation with Brock Purdy. You know, I don't care if people call him a system quarterback, game manager, good quarterback. It doesn't matter to me. But, you know, also like kind of similar to the Mike question I asked you, kind of just laugh at the way that people obsess how you classify Brock Purdy as a quarterback.
He's a winner. He's a winner. I don't know what you want to – he's won a lot of games. And for him to have, you know, people want to talk about an interesting draft night story for me. Are you kidding me? What about his story? Like, how can you hit on a story like that? And I love how he's just taken all of the criticism, you know, on the chin. And he always has the best answers. And he seems to be, you know, just a great individual and a great quarterback and a great leader for that team. And I love to see him rocking and doing his thing.
Well, Will, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much. When you get into town, enjoy it here in Vegas, all right?
Thank you so much.
There he is, Will Levis. Appreciate him joining us via Zoom as the Zach Gelb Show is on Radio Row inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center, broadcasting here all throughout the week. By the way, the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week's player is Chiefs defensive lineman Chris Jones. On the season, Jones was tied for the team lead with 10.5 sacks to go along with 30 total tackles and 4 passes defended. And I think this is something that gets forgotten about because it was a week 1 storyline. Chris Jones, Stone Cold Jones for the Kansas City, how about those Chiefs? He is so important in what they do. And as the games get bigger, he just becomes a better and better football player. And we all know how elite he is, but he is so clutch. You go back to the last 2 times these teams met up in a Super Bowl where he deflected that ball down thrown by Jimmy G at the line of scrimmage that continued that comeback for the Chiefs where they were down by 10 points with 7.5 minutes to go. They complete that play on 3rd down. Now, maybe the 49ers already have a Super Bowl under their belt, and maybe Patrick Mahomes only has 1 Super Bowl championship to his name, but you go back to week 1. And Samter, I know you're a Chiefs fan, but doesn't that seem like forever ago when you go back to week 1 and he's in the luxury box for Chiefs Lions? And I don't even think the Chiefs defense was the reason why they lost that game. That was the start of some of the struggles for Kansas City's offense, and that kind of gave us the appetizer of what the season was going to be. Now you fast forward, still, even when the Chiefs offensively aren't at their best, it's still better than everybody else in the AFC. But that night was one of the more wild storylines of the NFL season, and it ended up just being a small blip because the next week they figure out the contract and they get Chris Jones, who I guess was already in the building because he was in the luxury box, but ready to go to work is what I'm saying.
And, you know, at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is going to go down as the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Why do we have to do this?
But
why are you such a rat? Like, we were having a good relationship now, and now you got to start with that bull junk?
But at the end of the day, I think what's going to really be the difference for this game is going to be Chris Jones. Because I remember, I don't know if you remember, the Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Darnell Dockett had 2.5 sacks and almost had another sack. That would have
one of the
broken
great Super Bowls ever. That was awesome.
And he almost had another sack on that last drive that would have ended it, and Ben Roethlisberger got out of his grasp. But when you have a defensive lineman, Aaron Donald we saw last year or 2 years ago, When you have a defensive lineman,
because you had Burrow who had Jamar Chase open right down that right sideline. If he had a half a second or even a quarter more of a second, the Rams lose that Super Bowl.
Even before that play, Aaron Donald was lights out. He was a game wrecker. If you can have Chris Jones do what he's doing, and he can be disruptive to the run game and be disruptive in Brock Purdy's face. Now, Brock Purdy's great against the pressure, but at the end of the day, if Chris Jones can take over this game, it almost doesn't matter what Mahomes, Kelsey, and the offense does. If Chris Jones can take over this game, he could be the X factor for the game. And I think it's going to be so interesting to see the two sides of this.
So Chris Jones, to me, I get what you're saying, X factor. I think he is too well known and too great to be considered an X factor.
X factor may not be the right word.
Now, I'm not saying that's a sexy part of the storyline. You want to talk about, and this would go against my pick because I'm taking the 49ers, or I think on a Tuesday I'm taking the 49ers. I kind of have to take the 49ers after yesterday. I said I'm just sick and tired that everyone's picking the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to talk about a potential X factor, and I'm not just saying this because he's a friend of the show. I'm not just saying this because we had a great 5 to 10 minute conversation with him last night and all the chaos that he told us that his favorite meal is his dad's cooked steak. It's Drew Tranquill. Drew Tranquill swapping from an AFC West team in the Chargers to the Chiefs, and he sent the text that Andy Reid sent him, which is basically like, you want to come win, you come join us in Kansas City. How elated he was just to be there. He's like, this is awesome. Like, you could just tell a guy like that, with a lot of these guys Kansas City have been here, it's new, it's his first time. He just appreciated it. He has been so athletic for them, and he has been such a big help to them, and he plays so many multiple positions on defense because of his athleticism. Like last year, Nick Bolton, defensively for the Chiefs, he stole the show in the Super Bowl. Defensively for the Chiefs, you want to give me an X factor in this Super Bowl? I think it's our guy, Drew Tranquill.
You know, he could be a Dexter Jackson or a Larry Brown.
Oh, how great would that be?
Right? Like one of those guys who has like 2 random picks and a pick 6 or something.
Or the guy on the Seahawks, Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith.
Remember him? Yep. Or maybe even a Malcolm Butler. Yeah. I hope Drew Tranquill. I'm okay with the Niners.
I'm rooting for it too. The dude's a great guy.
I'm okay with the Niners winning. If we get a Drew Tranquill forced fumble.
You mean a Chiefs?
No. Oh, yeah. I'm okay with the Chiefs winning if we get a Drew Tranquill forced fumble or a Drew Tranquill interception in the game.
Pick 6,
That's
baby.
how I will be saying, Kansas City. That's all I'll get on your bandwagon. Well, you're actually the leader of the bandwagon because you jumped on the bandwagon. Fugazi football fan. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, CBS Sports Radio, inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center on Radio Row. We'll take a timeout. We'll come on back, and we'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio with the news brief.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, hour number 2 of our radio program from Las Vegas. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. We have a jam-packed hour number 2 of the radio program. You can watch us all throughout the week, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Coming up 20 minutes from now, the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, and then former 49ers and Bears kicker Robbie Gould will be joining us 40 minutes from now. I always say when I do a radio show, I feel like I'm a controller of chaos, and that's like a good way to have a show. You don't want a show that's boring. You don't want a show that's pedestrian. You want chaos, but you want it to be organized, controlled chaos, if that makes sense. I will say, Sam, to the 5 days that we go to the Super Bowl, there is never controlled chaos here inside Radio Row. Like, Daily News is one of our loyal YouTube chatters. We got to come up with a name on what we're going to refer to people on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. And he just basically described today's show so far, which is only 61 minutes in. Bob is dismayed with Zach Gelb's mic sound levels. Samter is best friends with Bowl Cut Davis. And Shawne Merriman is huge, even bigger than Zach Gelb. I am getting roasted in this YouTube chat. Not many people make me look small. I remember Oh, it was actually David Mayernick knows this story, who's here, our program director from CBS Sports Radio. There was a time where Shaquille O'Neal came into our studio, and he was doing a podcast, and he needed our podcast space. And this is when I was like part-time, overnight guy, really grinding hard to try to make a name for myself here at CBS Sports Radio. And I would always come in throughout the week and pre-record some things that we could air from 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern on Friday into Saturday into Sunday, like big-name interviews, things like that. And David, I guess, was busy with all of his responsibilities that he has. So he goes, would you mind he asked me to run the board and just make sure the levels were good for Shaquille O'Neal. So afterwards, I got a photo with Shaq. And let me remind you, I am a large man. I am 6'4". Most people think I'm taller than 6'4". I guess the doctor just can't reach when I go to the doctor these days. So I'm just going to go with 6'4". That's what I was the last time that I think I got an accurate measurement. But at the time, I was probably like 70 pounds heavier. I looked like a grape, though, standing next to Shaquille O'Neal.
I mean, you are wearing a purple shirt, so you look kind of grapish now.
Well, that was with Shaq. Now I'm in better shape. Now I'm looking better, all that stuff.
More like a plum now.
Hey, I saw Scott Farrell. The first thing Farrell said, Gelb, you're looking good. You're getting in shape. You're going to the gym. Shake it up. So I saw Farrell earlier, but Merriman makes me look emaciated.
He's a big
And it's crazy.
And he's jacked, too. It's not like he's just like a big guy. Because there's a lot of big dudes around here, football players. He's jacked.
But there's a lot of football players that walk around where I'm like, I feel like I'm on their level. I don't feel small next to them. I feel like nothing next to Shawne Merriman. He just he towers over me. He's a broad dude as well. You know what I felt like? When you asked me to take a picture last night.
Enough of you.
And we're on the field.
Enough of you.
And I go, this looks like Robin Big.
Enough of you.
I got to get those photos, by the way. You haven't sent me those photos. You better upload those photos. I need the photos of us on the field with Drew Tranquil, all that stuff, having fun last night.
And the ones with me hanging out with Mark Davis.
Look at what is going to our right now. There is a ring-light camera that is circling around. Oh, you just missed it. It was doing a 360, and it was taking a picture of whoever this guy is. But what the heck are people doing?
No, that's a fun social media thing. It goes around. It does slow motion.
Who is he, Brian Kelly, dancing in a locker room?
Yeah, there you go.
With the recruit?
He's recruiting.
That's what it looks like.
He's recruiting.
All righty, let's update you on some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. Trevor Lawrence going to join us coming up in 15 minutes from now. Let's get to a news brief.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Daly also writes in the chat, I forgot one more thing. Zach isn't pleased with the casino smells going up to his hotel room.
It's not the casino we have an issue with. It's the hotel, I think.
It's just
it's musty. It's old.
I'm pretty sure you're invited to this, or I'm going to bring you to it. As long as you don't big time me. I already found a replacement to find someone else to go to the Las Vegas Golden Knights game because Samter was too big for a little hockey, and Connor McDavid. I was sitting in the 6th row tonight. Samter's like, I can't do that. I have to go to some other schmancy fancy party. But I'm assuming we are going to a cigar party on Thursday night. It's a Dick and Jaws yearly cigar party, which the Gridiron Greats, they do a phenomenal job, and Rudolph Foods and all the people at Southern Recipes. But the cigar smell, I'm okay when it's at a party. When you are in a room for a week, and it's not my room that smells, but it's just the hallways, and you have that just cigar smell as you're trying to go into your room and go to bed, I'll be a little bit of a prima donna. Look at this. See, here we go. It's a 360 spin where that guy's just taking a picture. What a waste. People are stupid these days. They really are. All righty, let's start off with Roger Goodell on Travis Kelce and Taylor's impact on the Super Bowl. Here's the commish.
Having the Taylor Swift effect is also a positive. Listen, both Travis and Taylor are wonderful young people. They seem very happy. She knows great entertainment, and I think that's why she loves NFL football. But I think it's great to have her a part of it. Obviously, it creates a buzz. It creates another group of young fans, particularly young women, that are interested in seeing, why is she going to this game? Why is she interested in this game? Besides Travis, she is a football fan, and I think that's great for us.
An Eagles fan, too. Taylor Swift. So she's been a football fan for years. She loved watching the games with her dad. And when your boyfriend is the star tight end and one of the greatest tight ends of all time, it's a pretty good life. Because, like, Taylor Swift gets to go to whatever she wants. She snaps her fingers. Someone will find a way to give her VIP access to something. I think, Santa, it's been cool to see how much genuine fun she's having at these games, being in the luxury box, drinking, eating, having fun, and just taking in the football. I don't think I could relate to Taylor Swift because she lives a life that none of us could even imagine living. But she does come off with this Travis Kelce relationship as just a very relatable human being and a fun human being.
And like I said, we talked about this last week. If you want to be upset with the TV networks and the media coverage of this, fine. I get it. It's a lot. And even if you didn't care before,
but
now
it's under a minute. They only show under a minute.
Right. I'm just saying in general, like, all the, us and ESPN and all the people talking about it, if that's what's upsetting you, is just, like, even if you like a song, if you hear it too much on the radio, it gets old to you. Even if you were fine with this, maybe people are just tired of it. But my point is,
I don't get tired of music. I really don't.
If there's a song or a band that's just being overplayed, even if I liked it, then that's why I said Dave Matthews I used to like, and then they were just overplayed so much that now I can't stand Dave Matthews. But my point is, like, if you want to have an issue with the coverage of it, fine. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are doing literally nothing wrong. They are trying to just have fun and enjoy it. She's going to the games. She's not pushing her your face into it. She's just doing her own thing. He's doing his own thing. He has a podcast that he had before he dated her. He's still doing that. If you have an issue with the coverage, that's on the coverage. Yeah, right. There you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
If you have an issue with the coverage, that's on that. Do not blame Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift for how they're being covered.
And I give credit to Travis Kelce last night, because we'll get to some stupid questions that he was asked. A few of them may have been for me. He didn't shut down any of the questions. He didn't have this ego about him, like, how dare you ask me about that? He wasn't private. He wasn't standoffish. He's just a positive guy that's embraced all this, and he has fun. Here is Roger Goodell. He was asked. Someone actually asked him this. Has the Super Bowl been scripted because of Taylor Swift? Here's the commissioner.
I don't think I'm that good a scripter or anybody on our staff.
Goodell's not smart enough.
It's, listen, there is no way that I could have scripted that one. Let's just put it that way. But she is, or anybody in our office, she's a remarkable performer. She knows great entertainment. I had the opportunity to go to 2 of her concerts with our girls and my wife. She's the best of the best. And so having her come to NFL games, have her a part of that is nothing but a positive.
Here is Travis Kelce on his relationship with Taylor Swift.
She's unbelievable. She's rewriting the history books herself. I told her I'll have to hold up my end of the bargain and come home with some hardware too. Taylor has an unbelievable fan base that follows her and supports her throughout her life, and it's been fun to kind of gather the Swifties in the Chiefs Kingdom and open them up to the football world and the sports world, and it's been cool to just experience all that.
Do me a favor, Samter. Do you have that poster of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? Let me just introduce this to the listening audience. So we have made a poster this week, and it is, will they get engaged? And we have yes and no. And we just started this with Shawne Merriman, and it's a nice photo of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, 2 photos, and Shawne Merriman signed it. And yes, we're going to ask most guests, not every guest, but most guests, will they end up getting engaged? And for some reason, we have Joe Montana scheduled later in the week. That's not for some reason we haven't scheduled. We're at the Super Bowl, obviously. It's one of the biggest names ever and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But for some reason, I'm most excited to hear Joe Montana's answer on if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are one day going to get engaged. Anyway, I got a chance to ask Travis Kelce 2 stupid questions last night. Here is my personal exchange with Travis Kelce at the opening night at Allegiant Stadium last night.
Travis, Mama Kelce called you a fashionista on that New Heights podcast. I need to use your fashion sense for a second. Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti, they poke fun at Phil Simms for his lady glasses that he wears. I have a photo right here. What do you think of Phil Simms' glasses?
What's so ladylike about those? Those are some good, solid glasses. As long as it's helping him see, that's all that matters.
And the other thing is, Kadarius Toney goes by the rap name Young Joker.
The Joker.
I'm just wondering, will Taylor get on an album with him to kind of put his rap career on the map?
I mean, she's been known to dabble in the rap world. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll make sure. I'll see if Joker's up for it or not.
Thank you.
So those are just like two stupid questions that get asked at opening night. And usually I'm not a stupid media member, but last night I wanted to be stupid and have a little fun with the whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and I was helping out Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti a little bit, having some people on the ground there at opening night since they have to get up at like 1 a.m. Pacific time to do their radio show. But that's how Travis Kelce answered both of those stupid questions. He didn't dismiss it. He wasn't walking off the set. I know there was no phone to hang up, but he wasn't hanging up the phone or anything along those lines. He's having fun with this stuff. And it was 60 minutes last night of question after question after question about Taylor Swift.
And I'll say this one thing. At no point was there not a smile on his face. At no point did it look like he was annoyed. At no point was there a question that he was like, this is just getting... He obviously went into it saying, okay, let me just smile for an hour.
He knew it was going to be stupid.
Yeah, and he just said, let me just smile for an hour. I'm going to answer all the stupid questions. And maybe once he was done, he was like, all right, these guys are idiots. But he had a smile on his face. Either A, he's really having fun with this, or B, he knows how to fake it. But either way, I
think he's having fun.
He was enjoying it. He was having fun. He was smiling, and he was having a good attitude about it, and that's all you can ask for.
Now, I asked a question about Kadarius Toney, who also has a rap career, and I guess he still has a football career, even though they're making up injuries to try to just not get him on the field because you can't rely on him, even though he made 2 of the bigger plays in the Super Bowl last year. But right before the AFC Championship game, he went on Instagram Live and basically said that he wasn't hurt and all that stuff, and he also had the birth of a child as well. There's something with Kadarius Toney where we're not getting the full story, and I think Kansas City realizes his talent, and they don't want to get rid of him because it would create a bigger story, but they're starting to realize the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Well, young Joka, or Kadarius Toney, most people know him, he was on the field a little bit last night at opening night, and he had to explain his Instagram Live rant on the morning of or the night before the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, it kind of started that, but in the process of that, I get interrupted, so it got like a mixed message behind it, I guess you could say, and then a lot of footage got chopped up in the release. So it made it like I was attacking the one I love the most, like I made in the post I was referring to. I never attacked the Chiefs, never said anything about the Chiefs. Who I was referring to was the Giant fans, or was the people that in my comment, you know what I'm saying, my comment box, not even on my live recording, so you wouldn't even know if they were there. But I was referring to them, which I shouldn't have. I just wanted to go out there. I feel like, how you say, get my message across as far as my injury, but I shouldn't have did that at the end of the day. I'm a man. At the end of the day, I can accept my mistakes just like I accept my wins, but I'm just moving past that right now.
So he's saying he was on Instagram Live, and he's blaming this on a Giant fan that was in the comment section, and I guess a Giant fan set him off. Now, this dude just can't be trusted on social media. They should take social media away from Kadarius Toney, and there would be no avenue or no outlet for him to be a distraction. Finally, I've been seeing these headlines. I purposely have not listened to the audio because I want to hear it the first time naturally on the air. A lot of people were questioning the sobriety of Kyle Shanahan last night. They think he was a little bit in the bag at opening night, which if he is, we all had fun with Mike McDaniel allegedly smoking a little bit of a pen on the sideline in that game 2 years ago in the playoffs, Bills and Dolphins, with how crazy opening night is, I don't mind, even if you're head coach of a team, if you take a pop or two right before you go out on opening night, or maybe you eat something a little edible, if you know what I'm saying. All right. Here is Kyle Shanahan, and now this says on Brock Purdy sounding drunk, so he's talking about Brock Purdy, and this is when people thought he was sounding drunk. You be the judge.
Well, it's funny to hear Jed say that because it wasn't the smartest moment I've ever had. I mean, when an owner comes in after training camp practices and it's like, hey, how's the quarterback? And what he means is the starter or the second, and you in irritation go, I don't know, but our third guy's the best. That's not what he wants to hear. So that's why he remembers it very strong. But that was just more, Brock was so good right away with every rep he got. He was always the same. And he only got a couple of them. So it was easy for me to say. Because in his few reps, he was the best. But if you know that for a fact, I mean, then you do what you do right away. But he was the best. But you ease that on. And every time he got a little more reps, it was the same as when he got 2. And so when it was all said and done and he got a lot of playing time, I was like, oh, this looks exactly like what I told you when I was irritated. And he only had 3 reps. And I said, no, he's the best, but that's what was so real about Brock. That's why after his 7 games, his rookie year, even when he got hurt, we knew what we had because he'd been that way in practice every day, and it was the exact same way in the games.
Anytime I thought he sounded tipsy, he reeled it back in and he did not sound tipsy. I would say maybe he had a glass of wine before it, at most. But everyone's going off with it. He sounded intoxicated. He sounded like he was 8 drinks in. Anytime you thought maybe he was a little tipsy, it then just went away. You also have to remember, there's like 700 people around him last night, and he's talking to all those people with all the bright lights in front of his face. It could have just been maybe an uncomfortable setting for Kyle Shanahan. I don't think he dabbled in the gummy game or anything. That would not be the right scene. Maybe a glass of wine, like a little Pinot Noir at most. All right, that's a news brief. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, Trevor Lawrence is going to join us, the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, we continue. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. Now joining us is the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that, of course, is Trevor Lawrence, and he's brought to us today on behalf of Head and Shoulders and P&G Battles of the Paddles. Trevor Lawrence, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for jumping on board with us again. How are you?
What's up, Zach? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you for having me, man. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. I had high expectations for your team entering this season. I know you had high expectations as well. You guys not making the playoffs, when you look back and explain what happened with the Jaguars in the year of 2023, what stands out to you a few weeks removed from the season?
It's all about, especially in the NFL, it's all about playing your best football at the end of the season at the right time. And we weren't able to do that this year. I think there's a lot of factors, for whatever reason. Just the ups and downs of the season we didn't handle as well as we did the year before. We were able to overcome a lot, 2 years ago and put ourselves in a position to make the playoffs, win a playoff game. And this year we weren't able to do that for whatever reason. We had a lot of injuries at different times of the season. We were missing some guys here and there, but every team's going to deal with that at some point. So I think collectively the biggest thing is just we got to handle adversity a little bit better. We got to find a way to just play our best ball at the end of the season. Don't peak too early. We started the season great. We were in a good spot in November, early December, and then at the end of the year we just didn't play our best. So figure out how we do that and moving forward to not make the same mistake, in the years to come.
Yeah, and where's your confidence that you guys are going to be able to do that and you're going to be able to get the best version of this team out of this team next year and be back in the playoffs and be a threat in the playoffs?
I'm really confident. I think we have a lot of the right pieces in place. I think we've done a great job the past couple off seasons of bringing people in and the different free agents that we've been able to bring in and the type of people. I think we have good leaders, but we're going to have to step up, especially this off season, more than we have in the past. Obviously, we didn't meet expectations and we fell short of what we wanted to do, and no one saw us, not making the playoffs, and especially ourselves. That wasn't the goal at all. So we got to look in the mirror and correct the things that we need to correct, and leaders have to lead, and we got to have a great offseason. But I have a lot of confidence in the guys that we have. I'm sure we're going to add some pieces, through free agency, the draft, whatever it is. There's going to be new guys. Teams are never the exact same, so it's also about how we take whatever team we have spring heading into training camp, and how do we get that team ready to eventually win a Super Bowl. That's what we all want to do. That's why we play. That's what we're here for. So it'll be interesting to see how it shapes out, but we know we have a big task in front of us, and I got a lot of confidence in our group.
I think the conversation, as we're talking to Trevor Lawrence, surrounding you is fascinating. In year one, let's not sugarcoat it. Urban Meyer was terrible for that organization. Year two, you really had a successful season, and people said this is the transcendent player that you were talked out to be. And then in year number three, obviously, it regressed. How do you kind of describe what you've been able to do in the NFL, and where do you kind of fall right now when you think people talk about Trevor Lawrence and what you proved so far?
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in the player that I am. I've had some ups and downs in my career, no doubt about it, up until this point. And I think that, I'm very thankful for, I talked with some of the guys on the team, even after the season, and sitting on the plane after the Tennessee game. And, we all kind of agreed we're very thankful for the hard parts of our career. I feel like they've made us a lot better. I know my rookie year was very challenging and something I never really had to deal with. And it made me a lot better, and I was better for it moving forward. And now we had another set of challenges this past year. Seems like we just couldn't get anything going at the end of the year. We really struggled. And we weren't able to find success. So I think, but for me as a player, I don't think that I've regressed. I think every year I've taken a step. And people can pull numbers and talk about whatever they want, and that's fine. I guess that's how people evaluate things. But for my development, there was things that I wanted to get better at going into this season. I think I did that. I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to play my best at the end of the season. That's the biggest takeaway for myself that I'm disappointed in. But I think there's things that I wanted to get better at that I did, and up until I started having some injuries, I think I was doing those things that put us in position to win. And then in the back half of the season, I didn't do that good enough, and that's why we weren't able to win and make the playoffs. So there's definitely things that I want back, and I'd like to play better in certain games. But I do think that myself and as a team, we've taken steps every year, and we're getting better. And obviously, not making the playoffs seems like a step back, and it is. But I think sometimes that can kind of open your eyes a little bit and show you what you need to get better at, and honestly put a little pressure on you. We need to have some sense of urgency. Maybe if we make the playoffs and win a playoff game, we don't have the same type of urgency that we have now that we missed the playoffs and fell from 8-3 to 9-8 to finish the season. So I think it's going to put a little pressure on us in a good way.
I think the way that we talk about quarterbacks is extremely dumb, and it's year to year. And look at the way that people talk about Brock Purdy. Does it amaze you that some people say about you that Trevor Lawrence is a bust with some of the things that you've still been able to do in a positive way 3 years into the league?
It's not surprising. It's a crazy world. People want clicks. People want to, just say something and have these takes, and that's what it's become, And I think it's become harder with the social media era of what we do, and just the way things are so instant, and it's all reactions, and that's how things happen. You look at a guy like you said, Brock Purdy. I mean, that guy's done everything that he could possibly do. Being a 7th-round pick, last pick in the draft, went to San Fran, has won most of the games he's played, taken him to the Super Bowl this year. And, people still try to find ways to tear him down and to say that he's really not that good. That's kind of the whole, narrative. And it's like, well, I don't know what else you want the guy to do. He's played great, put up great numbers, taken him to the Super Bowl, won a lot of games. So that's just the way it is. People are going to have hot takes, big reactions whenever anything happens, and then you got to think about the fans of the other teams that obviously don't like you, and they're going to find anything they can to try to talk bad about you. So that you see that really in every fan base, every team. But it's at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and that's what I have to focus on. And I have a lot of confidence in myself and the development that I've had so far in my career. But I got to keep getting better. You can't stay the same. I got to get better next year.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how things shape on out inside the AFC South, because I want to see how you guys respond this year after getting doubted. And we know what the Texans just did with C.J. Stroud. Why are you guys long-term going to be able to outlast and find a way to solve a big problem now in your division with the Houston Texans, with what C.J. and D'Amico did this past year?
Yeah, they're going to be a tough team for years to come. Like you said, they got a great coach, they got a great quarterback. They definitely took a big step from last season into this year, and kind of inserting themselves into not only the AFC South picture, but the AFC and the league. So they did a great job, but we got to focus on ourselves. We can't worry about the Texans. I really have a lot of confidence in the people that we have, and a lot goes into winning your division and getting a shot at the playoffs, all those things. And it's not just about those 2 games you play against that team. So there's also the Colts who have been good every year, put up a fight. They're always in the hunt. Look at this year; they had a chance to beat Houston to make the playoffs. So, and then you got Tennessee, who got a new coach, new regime there. I'm sure they're going to bring in a lot of players. They're going to be a good team. It's the NFL every week, so you can't focus on one team, because the second you put everything into we got to beat Houston to win the division, then you get beat by Indy, you get beat by Tennessee, you get beat by whoever your other out of division games are. It's a long season, and it's really week to week, and you have to have that tunnel vision, that laser focus on each opponent. So that's the key for us.
Tell me what you're doing today on Head & Shoulders and PNG Battle of the Paddles.
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing in the ping pong tournament, PNG Battle of the Paddles event in Vegas, Wednesday, February 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it on Overtime Seasons YouTube channel. So it's going to be exciting. It's my second year. I'm with Head & Shoulders again. Just try to get the hair right before the ping pong tournament. So we'll see. I'm excited for it, man. The second year with Head & Shoulders, and it's fun. We got 8 NFL players that are going to be playing in the tournament. We'll see who wins it. Last year was Trent Taylor, and he whooped me pretty good. So I got to try to get a little payback on him, but he's pretty good.
Well, he's Trevor Lawrence. Trevor, always appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Good luck, good health.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate you, man. Enjoyed it.
You got it. Thanks so much. There he is, Trevor Lawrence. Always love when he joins us on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. And, we had to get into it because that's been a team that I had high expectations for. I thought they could take that next step after being a team that won a playoff game a year ago, turned it around, right? Back-to-back number 1 picks, the disaster of Urban Meyer, and then they come on back in that playoff game up against Brandon Staley and the Chargers, where they came on back from down 27 points, and they gave a good effort against Kansas City. But then the next year, any big game that they had, they didn't perform well. And there's a lot of conversation. There's a bunch brewing with that Jaguars team. And next year, I really think will define the future of that franchise. Because if they bounce back and they end up making the playoffs again and doing some damage in the postseason, confidence will be restored. But if they don't, then it's going to falter off and fall into this spot of, maybe that was just a one-year wonder and a one-time thing for Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. But great stuff with Trevor Lawrence, and appreciate him joining us via Zoom as we are broadcasting in Las Vegas on Radio Row at Mandalay Bay. All righty, let's take a timeout. We'll come on back. Robbie Gould scheduled to join us live in person, the former 49ers and Bears kicker, when we return after these short messages. But first up, the latest CBS Sports Radio update with the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, Joe Thuney is doing everything he can to get on the field Sunday, but head coach Andy Reid said it's a long shot the guard will play right now because of a strained pec. Day 2 of Super Bowl Media Week, with the teams holding another gathering before practicing today. The Chiefs have already gone. The Niners soon to come. The Dodgers and 3-time Cy Young Award winner Clayton Kershaw have agreed to a deal for him to return for a 17th season, while the Sixers will be without MVP Joel Embiid for at least a month. He underwent surgery on his torn meniscus and will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. He's currently the NBA's leading scorer at over 35 points per game. The Thunder sit atop a crowded Western Conference, tied with the Timberwolves and just a half game in front of the Clippers in Denver. They'll face the Jazz tonight in Utah, looking for their 4th straight win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and company after their best 50-game start since 2015-16.
We're headed in the right direction. We're doing something right. The last 2 seasons, we've gone tremendously better really fast. So whatever we're doing is clearly working. Just got to stay focused and not get complacent and do the same thing.
The Wolves will meet the Bulls in Chicago, while the Clippers in Denver both idle. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, this is Bart Winkler. I've got a new show weeknights. Join me for the Bart Winkler Show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Only on CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, we continue. This is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio, Mandalay Bay Convention Center, day number 2 of Radio Row here in Las Vegas. This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Kendrick Bourne scheduled to join us coming up in about an hour from now. We should be joined momentarily by Robbie Gould, who is the former Chicago Bears and San Francisco 49ers kicker. He was a part of that 49ers team that got to the Super Bowl and did lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll get his thoughts on everything developing with the San Francisco 49ers in the Brock Purdy era, and also what it was like to be in a locker room that was run by one Kyle Shanahan. And the Shanahan factor in this game, you know, it will be talked about, I'm assuming, throughout the week. Mainly, you know, you do have the biggest story being Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and then you have how people describe Brock Purdy as a quarterback, and then what this win would mean, Super Bowl number 3, for the legacy and the greatness of one Patrick Mahomes. But, maybe it's because all the attention's in other places, but the Robbie Gould, the Kyle Shanahan factor in this is enormous. Like, this is a guy that was up 28-3 as an offensive coordinator in a Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons. They choked it, and then they were up by 10 in that Super Bowl in Miami in January of 2020, right before the world really changed, right before our eyes. And that was a game where it looked like the Niners were the better team and they couldn't get the job done. So when I look at the storylines heading into this one, it's clearly Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift that generates buzz, 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 and then more buzz. Then you have what will people and how will people be talking about Brock Purdy on Monday? The guy wins games. So, you want to call him a game manager, system quarterback, franchise, it doesn't matter. The dude wins games. And then the Mahomes historical component of it. But I'm most curious to see if, let's say, the Kansas City Chiefs are down in the fourth quarter, and they're down by not just a touchdown, but by 10 points or more with about 8 minutes to play, 9 minutes to play. Or let's just say the Niners take a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Everyone knows the game's not over. The game is never over without Patrick Mahomes until the fat lady sings, and then she sings some more and she gets called out for an encore. All right, that's just the truth with Mahomes. We've seen it now against Buffalo, against Tennessee, against San Francisco, and I could give you a litany of other scenarios where Mahomes just finds a way to come on back and win the game. But that could be a big conversation on Monday, because Shanahan, a lot of people, they use the word great very freely, very easily, very openly. The dude's a phenomenal coach. The dude's a top 5 coach in the sport right now. They have consistently been there. But you got to get over the hump. You got to get to the top of the mountain. Because I can guarantee you this, we all know the Niners have a great team. We all know the Niners could be right back here next year. But how many times can you mentally and then also physically keep on getting right to the notch below the tippy top of the mountain before eventually you fall or contracts get out of hand and, you have to lose a few players? Like, this is their time. And they've been there. They've been in NFC title games. They have been in a Super Bowl. They have had leads, and they have come up short. Now you have a quarterback where they didn't always believe in Jimmy G. They didn't always believe in Trey Lance. Regardless of what I think, Santa thinks, you think, this team believes in Brock Purdy. And they have a healthy Deebo Samuel. Kittle's going to play in the game, even though he's dealing with a minor injury last week. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's been healthy for the most part ever since going to the 49ers. Yeah, the defense has not played well the last 2 weeks, but they're still here. Now the defense has to give their best effort of the season up against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Because say what you want about the lack of receivers, Rashee Rice, and, young Joka, if he's going to play in the game, whoever it is, you could go through the vulnerability of the Chiefs. And we've been told all throughout the year, the Chiefs are vulnerable. The Chiefs are vulnerable. Heck, I've been saying it more than anybody. And here we are once again, where the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. The AFC, they tried to tug on Superman's cape. They couldn't get the job done. Now it's up to the 49ers to see if they could do that. And now joining us is a former NFL kicker, played for the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers, here today on behalf of DiGiorno. And that, of course, is Robbie Gould. Robbie, how are you?
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. How's the week going?
It's been great, and it's a blur. It's crazy. It's all Taylor Swift. It's all Travis Kelce. It's all this chaos. It's fun. Like, you've done the opening night before at the Super Bowl. I'm sure you got asked some pretty stupid things. That has to be a zoo for a player, right?
Yeah, it's changed a lot since the first Super Bowl I played in was in Miami in 2006. And they showed up. They did the team picture. You guys basically sat in the stands and people could interview you. Now all of a sudden it's at night on a Monday night. There's fans. Everybody and anyone is in there asking you the most random questions. But I think it shows how this game and the National Football League as a brand has evolved over the years, and what this game really means to a lot of people, that it's going to change their lives if they win. And Also, I think it's unique for fans to come out to Vegas because this is a great host city. For the Super Bowl.
Well, you were in the NFL for a long time. If I would have told you 6-7 years ago that a Super Bowl, an NFL team
was going to be in Vegas,
would be in Las Vegas. Remember when they popped Tony Romo for whatever that one event was?
Yeah.
And this stuff, you couldn't imagine this 5-6 years ago.
They just wanted him in Skechers shoes, that's all.
Robbie Gould here with us. Special teams always a big part of the game, and it's always a huge part of the Super Bowls. We've seen that, throughout the years. It doesn't really get talked about a lot going into this week. So since we have you here, and the Niners, the Chiefs, who do you think has a special teams advantage going into this one?
Well, I think I played for both Dave Tobe and Brian Schneider at the 49ers. If you look at last year's Super Bowl, that Super Bowl, basically the punt return at the end of the game is what set up the Chiefs to winning.
With Kadarius Toney, it was a huge play.
Huge play. So I think, when you look at special teams, whether it's a missed field goal, whether it's a big return, I think it's going to play a huge part in the game, only because both of these kickers have big legs, so you're not going to get a kickoff return, I don't think, unless they see something on film where they can pin the ball in the corner and they can cover. But I think the biggest parts and the keys of the game will be both field goal kickers, one, and two, who can develop the best punt return scheme based on what they've seen on film between Mitch Wisnowski and Tommy Towson, who are two totally different punters. Tommy's going to kick the ball really high and far. Mitch can kick it far, but he has a bunch of tricks in his bag. So I think it's going to play a huge part in these two going against each other.
I'm just curious, because you have the special teams side of it, as Robbie Gould is here with us. Now with analytics, I feel like analytics tell you to go for it all the time. Never trust the kicker, never try to get the 3 points and extend the lead. When you were watching that NFC Championship game, and how many times Dan Campbell bypassed the field goals, I know that you're a former 49er, but that had to drive you bonkers.
Yeah, I don't remember how many years ago, but somebody put a shirt together that says "Run the ball."
Oh yeah, run the damn ball.
Yeah, and next thing you know, I should have done the same thing.
Kick the freaking ball.
Yeah, right. Just kick it. Kick the ball. If he misses it, the energy's different than when you don't get both of those, and then you fumble. There's a lot of things that Detroit did to lose a football game as opposed to win the football game towards the second half, later in the second half as well. So, kick the ball. Always take the points.
I have to ask you this. Bears have the number 1 overall pick. It's a huge conversation. I think they should keep Justin Fields, but I don't think they will. What do you think the Bears should do?
I think it's a very interesting situation for the Bears. I think they're in a really good position to do a handful of different things. First of all, let's start with Justin, right? Justin's played in the Bears system for several years. They can get him for one more year, but he's never had stability, meaning he's never had the same coordinators, basically. He's always had the change of something else, and you just can't develop as a player in that aspect. So you have Eberflus going into his 3rd season now. I think what they did at the end of the season and what he was able to accomplish by grasping that defense, moving the pocket, running the RPO game, using his legs, was very helpful, and that's why they won the football games at the end of the season. Now let's go to the other side of that. If you can go and get Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with DJ Moore, plus plan for the future of having a number 1 receiver.
Chicago actually setting their quarterback up to succeed.
Yeah, and having 2 really good receivers with Cole Kmet. I like their running backs. I think they're pretty good. They're not going to be as dynamic as maybe a Bijan Robinson that you're going to take in a top 10. I think there's a lot of merit to that. If you want to talk about the first pick and they get a boatload of picks, or they get 2 first-rounders.
Basically do what you did last year.
Yeah, and build the roster with some extra talent at the offensive line, maybe get some different weapons later in the draft. You now have the point where you have to keep Justin Fields, because unless you go get Drake May.
Yeah.
Is Drake May going to be there at 8, 7,
no,
6,
not.
5?
Even if they're saying he may fall, he's not going to be there.
Right. So to me, like you go in that direction, you're keeping Justin Fields and you're building around him.
Is this the 49ers time? You've been there. You've been close. You guys are up by 10 in that Super Bowl, but then it's Mahomes on the other side. Like, do you genuinely feel that the Niners win this game?
It's hard to go against or bet against a Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I think they've played their best football as of late. What I will say is I think this is a San Francisco team that is built to win this game, more so than in years past. I think they were built to win. I think this team's built to finish it.
All right, there's a lot of speculation. Some people think Devin Hester already got informed, which he could have, that he's getting in the Hall of Fame. If that happens when we find out on Thursday evening, what would that mean to you?
Oh, he deserves it. I mean, the guy completely changed the people that I've talked to about him and understanding, he's just a punt returner. He doesn't have this amount of touchdowns or whatever. One, the only reason punters flip now in the National Football League is because of Devin Hester. Mm-hmm. The reason they were punting out of bounds 30 yards is because they're like, Devin Hester could touch the ball and change the game at any moment, and we'll take the chances of your offense versus our defense rather than Devin Hester. So, the hidden yardage battle that he was able to win for us and start our offense in really good positions helped us win a lot of football games. And those are all stats that nobody keeps. So, I'm happy for him. It's long overdue. I think he deserves to obviously go in the Hall of Fame because he not only did change the National Football League on how people punt, but it also, I think, resonates to the type of player that he was, that he could change the game at any moment. I mean, listen, he took the opening kickoff back in the house in his rookie year as a Bear. So, I love Devin. I think he's a dynamic player, and if he gets in, I couldn't be more thrilled for him.
Tell me what you're doing today on behalf of DiGiorno.
Yeah, so I'm out here for the second straight year. DiGiorno Pizza is doing the DiGiorno Doinks, which if the ball hits the upright or the crossbar.
What a promotion!
Now listen. I know two things. I'm promoting it to hopefully go in.
Yeah.
Right? But I also know that in Chicago, doink is like
double doink.
It's the worst curse word that you can possibly find in the book. So, if anybody wants to register, I think it's a great opportunity to win free pizza. Go to DiGiornoDoinks.com. And listen, kicking in the playoffs, kicking in the at any time in the playoff games are unpredictable. So this will give us something to root for, and we can have some pizza. I like Pizza Fridays. That's what I do with my boys. So
I love it.
Yeah.
What toppings you put on that pizza?
I'm a cheese pizza guy.
Okay, well done. At least you cooked that pizza well done.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. I live in Chicago, and I like a deep dish pizza every now and again. I like a New York style.
There we go,
pizza.
my man. There we go. Yeah. Robbie Gould, thanks so much. Appreciate you doing this. Coming on back, Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio, live from Radio Row. We'll return for the Mandalay Bay Convention Center after these short messages.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All right, away we go. Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio, live inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. Fun show so far. Shawne Merriman joined us. Will Levis, Trevor Lawrence, Robbie Gould still to come. We'll be joined by Patriot wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, and that will come your way 40 minutes from now. There's been crazy audio, obviously, the last 2 days, and it only gets dumber throughout the week. I know last night was pretty stupid with opening night, and everyone's trying to put out this dog and pony show and make it a circus, Regent Stadium. And I can't say that without acknowledging that we were a part of that as well, but that's just what happens on opening night. I think it's the one media event that the NFL puts on where everyone knows there's no control and you get a bunch of stupid questions. But throughout the week, the storylines just kind of get tedious. They kind of get dull. It's like, okay, just get me to kickoff. Just get me to the game. That's why I like being here at Radio Row. It works. You get all these different people that join you on set. You maybe talk about their team and what they did this year, like we did earlier with Will Levis, like we did earlier with Trevor Lawrence as well. And you kind of get a good lay of the land of the other 30 teams, even though there's only 2 teams that are playing on Sunday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the 49ers. And yeah, obviously we talk a ton about the Chiefs this week. We talk a ton about the 49ers. But when you move away from all the fun and all the inane and all the innocuous questions that get asked last night, you do have people that attend opening night and they ask their serious football questions. And, football the last 20 years, it was dominated by the Patriots. And the Patriots, when they won their first Super Bowl, Super Bowl 36, especially with everything that happened in this country, it was a feel-good story. And then when they won Super Bowl 38, I don't think anyone hated the Patriots. And then once it became, not even the 3 and 4 years, but it was really more so the Spygate investigation and that 07 Patriot team where it was the us against the world mentality. And, I'm not naive. I'm not dumb. When you are a dynasty, people hate you. And usually the hatred is just rooted in jealousy. It's because people want to be you. People want to be the team that not only wins a Super Bowl, but multiple Super Bowls and just keeps on getting there. And when you win at this really high rate and you do so multiple times, you get confidence. You embrace and try to, I don't want to even say make up storylines. Sometimes it's contrived, but you try to lay into we're getting doubted. We're the hated team. Because at your best what you're capable of, and as a competitor, you have to try to create some sort of doubt, and then there's like little things that teams will turn into big things. So I guess Kansas City is now playing this villain role, and that they're the new hated team, and everyone's gunning after them. And I do think there's a difference in the team that everyone's hunting and the team that's trying to take down, and then being the team that everyone's trying to hunt and take down, and then also being the team that's hatred. So I didn't even think about this until last night, but here is Chris Jones at the podium on opening night on Monday, and he talked about now the Chiefs being that villain team and the Chiefs being a team that is now hated and have some disdain to them.
Absolutely. For some reason, everybody used to love us. We used to be one of the most favorite teams. Now everybody is like, we're ready for the Chiefs to lose. I don't know what changed or what dramatic incidents happened to where everybody felt like we should lose now, but it's okay. They can continue hating.
I don't think the Chiefs are hated. I think the only time the Chiefs were a hated team, and they were a team where people were like, enough of these guys, stop being a bunch of babies and stop being a bunch of sore losers, was earlier this year in the regular season when they lost the game to Buffalo and Kadarius Toney was lined up offside. And then after the game, Patrick Mahomes was complaining, and he was saying, we want the officials to decide the game, and or we want the players to decide the game. We don't want the officials to decide the game. And Andy Reid, who's a very likable coach as well, right? Big teddy bear, eats the cheeseburgers and all that stuff. Even he was complaining after that game. That was the only time that I found the Kansas City Chiefs to be a team that you could dislike or a team that you could hate. I know that they have to kind of rile up some extra energy, and they have to kind of make it as they're the team that everyone hates. And it's easy now to kind of spin that conversation because you have so many people that just hate to hate on social media. But if we actually determined haters by people that just sent you negative tweets on social media, well, then everyone has haters. And everyone is the team that is being hated. But I think if we put out a poll question, do you hate the Kansas City Chiefs? Unless you are a Chargers fan or a Broncos fan or a Raiders fan inside the AFC West, I don't think this Kansas City Chiefs team is hateable. Like, the only reason you would hate Patrick Mahomes is because of his brother. I know people don't like his wife, and we know what his father has done now 3 times, which is absolutely disgraceful. But Patrick Mahomes is one of the more likable superstars ever. Him individually, when you take away his family, you don't have any reason to hate Patrick Mahomes. Why would people hate Andy Reid? Why would people hate Travis Kelce? Like, if you are someone that goes, I hate Travis Kelce because of Taylor Swift, why? And I'm going through these storylines. Okay, yeah, Kadarius Toney is insufferable, but he's kind of irrelevant. Outside of that, this Chiefs team is fun. This Chiefs team is likable. And I don't think that they resemble and they're not a dynasty yet because you have to win 3, but a team that had the makings of a dynasty. And I say this as a Patriot fan. People didn't like the Patriots because of Bill. People didn't like the Patriots because of some of the things that they were accused of. And Tom Brady was the golden boy, and he won all these Super Bowls, and they rubbed it in your face, and that was fine. I loved it, right? And they played into it, and people doubted them. Heck, there was a 10-year stretch where they didn't win a Super Bowl. But Samter, I don't find Kansas City. I know you're a Fugazi Chiefs fan after being a Jet fan for 40 years.
Yeah, 40 some. No,
Right?
no. I didn't start liking the Jets
35?
until like the late 80s, early. I started liking the Jets when the Giants were good.
Okay.
So I wanted to like the team that sucked.
But objectively,
Yeah.
we'll let people in on the shtick. Samter claims to be a Chiefs fan. I don't really buy that. He's still a Jet fan down deep. Down in your roots, you're a Jet fan, whether you want to admit it or not. But this Kansas City team, what's the valid reason to hate them? Like, why would you hate this Kansas City team?
I think there's a lot of hate. I mean, listen, people, like you
Outside
said.
they just win.
Yeah, people hate, same reason why it's hard to hate Tom Brady, but people hated him because he was always winning. And so I think people hate teams that are just constantly winning. But I think this Taylor Swift thing really put a new wrinkle into it.
Really?
Because it's
But
not that
aren't
people
those just trolls and dopes on social media? Like, I don't think that's a true reflection of society.
I mean, I
She's
think
on
it's
for less than a minute every game.
I think it's a truer reflection of society because it's not just sports fans now. It's people who love Taylor and people who don't like Taylor. You're getting politics into it now, right? Because now you have the political side of it. Taylor leans one way and then other people on the other. So there's a political side of it. There's the music side
It's
of it.
only two.
There's
I
the
can't do
football side
politics
of it.
on a Tuesday. I can't.
I'm just saying that this is hitting every facet of America. This is a better microcosm of our country than a normal year of just Tom Brady versus, Aaron Rodgers. This is everybody's interested. Whether it's pop music or politics or sports, everybody is interested. And I think that there's legitimately a faction of people who don't like the Chiefs because of what's going on with Taylor Swift. Not that she's doing anything wrong or Travis Kelce's doing anything wrong, but her involvement in the way that it's being talked about is turning people off. So I think that there's that. I think there's
How is
the
it
winning
being
side
talked
of it.
about? How is it being talked about?
It's being talked about.
Okay.
The amount that it's being talked about.
So I know that you're not one of these Swiftie haters.
No.
Right? You would consider yourself more of a
She's
Swiftie
dating my
than a non-Swiftie.
She's dating my tight end. I love her.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So let's just say your argument is correct. Let's say you're right. People hate the Chiefs now because of Taylor Swift. What does it say about those people? We are hating, or some people, I'm not, are hating on the Chiefs because a guy who's very successful and famous fell in love with someone who's even more successful and more famous, and they're not entitled to have a relationship. They're not allowed to have a relationship. He can't go to her concert. She can't go to his games. So are the people that are hating, are they married? Like, are they not allowed to find their significant other and have their happiness? Should I sit there and go, oh, I don't like your wife or I don't like your husband? Like, is that what it is? And I don't think, I know sometimes we do this thing where it's like, oh, you have someone that's just hating that lives in their mother's basement. Like, it's fun to say, but I don't think that's actually the true reflection. I think it may just be a generational thing. I understand social media. Mm-hmm. I understand what the stories are. I understand the trends. I wonder if I watch a game with my dad. I haven't watched a Chiefs game with him. I wonder if I was watching a game, of him at the Super Bowl. My dad doesn't, my dad is like a strictly sports guy. Is he going to sit there and go, oh, they're showing too much Taylor Swift? I think my dad would say, show her as much as you are when they're winning than when they're losing. But my dad also said the same thing about Jerry Jones when he would be basically humping Chris Christie in that disgusting orange sweater when the Cowboys were winning, in the regular season or just in three quarters, then equally show them when they're losing. So I don't think, and I think maybe it could be a little older versus newer, but I don't believe people actually find the Chiefs right now hateable. The only reason or the only time where they were hateable was after that first Bills game, because it's one thing to win. And I'm not like, I don't lecture people on learn how to lose because you shouldn't want to lose. And I don't get all caught up when someone doesn't shake hands after they don't win a game. But when you go after the officials, when you look at that play against Buffalo, and Kadarius Toney was clearly lined up off sides. That's the only time I said, man, Kansas City finally had their villain moment. Kansas City finally became unlikable, but that didn't even last long. That was a week, and then Kansas City was kind of vulnerable, and we were like, maybe they're not going to get there, and they were doubted. They are the top dog. I'm not saying they aren't the top dog, but this top dog was doubted significantly this year, where I don't even know if there was proper time and enough time to actually hate them. And maybe they become hateable on Sunday night. They win. And I don't think Travis Kelce getting up on the podium saying, you got to fight for your right to party. Like, I don't find that hateable. I think Travis Kelce's fun. I think Patrick Mahomes is fun. And Steve Spagnuolo is a tremendous defensive-minded coach. Andy Reid finally getting his moment of winning. Chris Jones saying this team is hateable, I think that's a contrived narrative. I think that's them where they know how good they are. They know that they could only beat themselves, that they kind of have to, and you shouldn't need extra motivation, but people do this all the time in sports. You kind of build up, we're the villain. We're the team that's everyone's doubting. And there's a difference in saying we're the team that's hated and then we're the team that everyone's chasing. Everyone's chasing Kansas City. The only team, well, the Buccaneers were able to do it, but now that Bucs team's totally different. But the team in the AFC and the guy in the AFC was Joe Burrow. And also Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator. Those were the guys that were able to make Kansas City actually look vulnerable and actually be able to say, we could beat you, and they beat them 3 times in a row. I know they ended up losing an AFC championship game to them, but they also won an AFC championship game the year before. And that's the only team that we could actually believe in moving forward because of Burrow, that they could slow down this Kansas City team. Maybe it is the Niners. The Niners on paper have a better roster. But I just want to separate, and it's often confused, and like, remember the Venn diagrams and stuff in schools? It's sometimes when you have a team that's hated and then a team people are chasing, then there's usually some crosstalk from both sides that's blended in the middle. Look at me talking about Venn diagrams. I'm pretending to be an erudite person. But that's where I think you can allow yourself to believe you're actually hated, when in reality, I don't find Kansas City to be hated right now.
And you know, whatever they need to use for motivation, good for them. If they feel hated, then they can use it. If they're manufacturing it in order to just give themselves some interior motivation, so be it. But I do see that there is anti-Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. And again, I don't think it's how much they're showing them on
Did you see that
TV.
last night? I didn't see that at all last night. Did anyone get into it with Travis Kelce over Taylor Swift? Like, if there are actual haters, wouldn't you confront them about it?
No, but I think that there's the media, the way the media portrays it is different. I think that
Are you saying there's people in the media that are afraid to ask or voice their opinions to Travis Kelce?
No.
Because if I didn't like Taylor Swift, which I love Taylor Swift, I don't want the Swifties going after me, I would ask Travis Kelce about it last night. I would say my side to him.
That's not the issue. Again, I don't think the issue is anything with, well, I mean, I guess there are some people who just don't like Taylor Swift, but generally, the issue is not with Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce. The issue is with how the media is covering them and how inundated everybody is. You can't escape Kelce, Taylor Swift. If you are listening to politics, it's there. No. But
it goes away if someone beats them.
But it's not about. Well, I mean, but if you're just a random person living in North Carolina and you're like, okay, I've been watching sports all day. All they're doing is talking about Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. Let me turn on some political TV. Oh, you know what? They're talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Well, you know what?
Let me go listen to music. Oh, wait, they're talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. That's where I think people are getting PO'd.
They should thank then Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, because if you are tuning into a political show and they are giving you Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, I bet
they're not giving you something else.
I bet you it's better than whatever other jackassery that they're talking about.
For sure. I think the issue is like the media. I don't think has an issue with them. I think it's the people who are just feeling just too much of it in our faces. But I think at the end of the day, in the sports world, the hate for the Chiefs, if there is any, if it's not manufactured, if it isn't fake, if there is actual hate for the Chiefs, if they are actual villains, it's only really because people are tired of them winning so much. Because there's not a lot of there aren't dislikable characters on the team.
I would say there's only a handful of fan bases that could hate Kansas City. And here would be the fan
bases.
bases.
It's the same fan bases who hated the Patriots.
No. It's different. All the teams in the AFC West. You should be more mad at your teams for not getting their act together, but I would understand why you'd hate Kansas City. I think the Patriot fan could have the potential to hate Kansas City because of eventually the inevitable comparisons, Mahomes and Brady. And I could see why that would, as it rubbed the 49ers fan the wrong way, it would rub the Patriot fan the wrong way. And then the two other fan bases that I think could hate Kansas City, the Bengals, even though they've made them human, that's like a good rivalry. They're always clashing heads and talking junk. And then after this Sunday, it could be the 49ers, because that could prevent the Niners, the Chiefs could prevent the Niners from winning a Super Bowl or even 2 Super Bowls, because they lost to them in January of 2020, and they could lose to them on Sunday. You don't win this one on Sunday, then I think the Niner fan will hate Kansas City. But outside of that, Bills fans, you know what? Bills fans could hate Kansas City too. Sure.
But you're telling me that
But that's like a handful of teams.
But if you're telling me that you're a Packers fan or a Vikings fan or a Cardinals fan,
no right to hate Kansas City.
And you just enjoy watching
football. You're just
football.
bitching a bitch. That's what you're doing.
You're bitching to bitch, maybe.
And a lot
but
of people
also,
bitch the bitch in this society.
But you're also just tired of. It's the same reason. Like, I'm a Jets fan, so I hated the Patriots because of that. But I'm sure there were teams who had no connection to the Patriots, good or bad, who by title number 4, 5, 6 were like, I hate the Patriots because I'm just tired of seeing them there all the time.
Well, then get better.
Sure.
Be a winner. Don't be a loser. That's my PSA. We're not doing a Zach Gelb Show PSA on Thursday. That's my PSA this week.
But when you're a fan,
be a winner. Don't be a loser.
But
if you don't like losing, then find out how to win. All right?
But when you're a fan, you don't have control over the teams winning or losing. So you're just stuck being forced.
Protest. Demand changes.
But you're stuck being forced watching the same team over and over and over again. People want to see greatness, and then they want to tear greatness down.
Glue your hand down to the turf.
There you go.
And don't unglue it until your team wins a championship.
There it is.
All right? Oh, please. I hope we don't get any protests for these Super Bowls. If I'm sitting at the Super Bowl and I have some dope gluing their hand to the cement of Allegiant Stadium, I hope they're not in my section, because they will get an earful from yours truly. I will go after that person. I don't care what they're protesting about. Zach Gelb Show, CBS Sports Radio, coming on back from Mandalay Bay Radio Row at the Convention Center.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. Kendrick Bourne scheduled to join us coming up 10 to 15 minutes from now. I was reading this article during the break, and this was via the Move the Sticks podcast. I'm pretty sure that's Daniel Jeremiah's podcast. They had Lance Zierlein on, who is a local radio host in Houston, and he does a ton of NFL draft coverage, and he's great at previewing all of these prospects. And he was talking about Drake May, and this is what Lance Zierlein had to say. "I talked to an NFL guy today who thinks Drake May could be the guy who falls in this draft. The NFL evaluator compared him to Will Levis." So that is what you had Lance Zierlein telling Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. I don't know how much I buy that, but then yet again, and I know we had Will Levis on earlier and he talked about that fall in that green room. That's the same Will Levis that was projected to be bare minimum a top 15 pick last year, and he fell all the way out of the first round. You also remember the fall of Aaron Rodgers as well when he didn't go number 1 overall. A few years ago, we all thought Malik Willis was going to be a first-round pick. That didn't happen as well. I just have a tough time seeing Drake May falling that much. And I'm not big into evaluating quarterbacks anymore because most of the time we end up getting it wrong with quarterbacks. I'm not going to be afraid to do that. You know, I'm not afraid to be wrong about something, but a lot of times now, the quarterbacks, we get told this guy's going to be transcendent, this guy's going to be generational, this guy's going to be phenomenal. And is it more so an actual belief, or is it the quarterbacks is just the sexiest position in the sport? If you don't have one, you need one. So you try to talk yourself into a quarterback being something that they're not. Like, look recently. Heck, we're here talking about Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant. Patrick Mahomes, when the Chiefs traded up to get him, you know, now you could say, oh, what a brilliant move, but people didn't think that was a brilliant move at the time. You got to take a gamble, though, and sometimes you got to be uncomfortable to end up navigating through a time period and getting your team to be at the form where Kansas City's going to be. But look at kind of these other drafts as well, where you had in 1 year in a first round, Baker Mayfield go. You had also the third pick was Sam Darnold. And in that same draft, you had Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, and then Lamar Jackson. Now, two of those quarterbacks ended up being something. Neither have a Super Bowl. And look at the Niners who are in a Super Bowl and how they found their way with Brock Purdy. But the guy that was supposed to be the guy, and they traded 3 first-round picks to go get, was Trey Lance. And look how quickly that entire draft class has just unfolded right in front of our eyes, where the best player and the best quarterback in that first round of that draft class is Trevor Lawrence. And we just had Trevor Lawrence on the show about an hour and a half ago when Trevor joined us. And I had to ask him a question. What do you say to people that think you're a bust? Because he was perceived to be one of those generational guys. So I have a tough time seeing Drake May fall. But the first 3 picks to me in this draft are fascinating. And we had Robbie Gould on earlier, and he's talking about how you could surround Justin Fields with a lot in Chicago. I understand the argument. I've made the argument 9,000 times on this very fine radio program, where I've made the case for the Bears to trade the number 1 pick, or you take Marvin Harrison Jr. and you continue to rock and roll with Justin Fields. But contractually, Fields is entering the 4th year in the league, and you got the 5th year option. So you eventually have to, if you're going to give him the thought of, okay, you're going to be the franchise quarterback, then you got to pay him like that. So I think they're going to reset the clock. And when you have Caleb Williams drawing comparisons to Patrick Mahomes, whether you think that's fair or not, you're going to take the guy that has the better chance to be like Patrick Mahomes. That's just what you're going to do. So I do believe the Bears are taking a quarterback at 1, and I do believe it's going to be Caleb Williams. I got to think, I know that Cliff Kingsbury is now the OC for the Commanders, and some people now believe, because of the Caleb Williams relationship, that the Commanders are going to move up to 1, and Caleb Williams, right, grew up in the D.C. area. But I don't think the Bears are trading the pick, and I don't think they're not taking Caleb Williams. So then at 2, are the Commanders, when you have a new owner, a new GM, and a new head coach, and you have a head coach in Dan Quinn, who saw, I know he wasn't the coach at the time, but the general manager who was at the time, Thomas Dimitroff, he took Matt Ryan at number 3. You're telling me that the Commanders, who need to make a big splash, aren't taking a quarterback? Yeah, they absolutely will take a Drake May. They will take a Jaden Daniels. Then the team at 3, 1 and 2 will definitely be quarterbacks. And then the team at 3 becomes extremely compelling, and that's the Patriots. And Gerard Mayo basically said it without saying it, that the Patriots are going to take a quarterback. And I believe Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player, period, in this draft. I think he is the best player, and he's the one guy in this draft that you tell me you put all the money that you have on someone being a Hall of Famer, I'll put my money on Marvin Harrison Jr. And we are now in a league where wide receivers can make $30 million a year. Do one of those teams in the top 3 take Marvin Harrison Jr.? Maybe it ends up being the Bears if they don't trade Fields. Could it be the Patriots? I'd be fine as a Patriot fan bypassing on a quarterback now, building up the roster, and taking Marvin Harrison Jr. But even if Marvin Harrison Jr. goes on to have a Hall of Fame career, and you pass on a quarterback who goes on to be a Hall of Famer as well, let's say that's a Drake May or Jaden Daniels, the quarterback is going to get the edge. The quarterback is going to get the tiebreaker, because that's the toughest position to find in sports. Look at a guy like Puka Nacua. Look, I know that we've seen quarterbacks get drafted late. Brady, who goes on to be the greatest quarterback of all time. You've seen Dak Prescott get drafted late, have success in this league. We see what Brock Purdy's doing right now. But a lot of these wide receivers, there's more wide receivers that go on to have successful careers that weren't first-round picks than there are with quarterbacks. So you can probably craft a better argument why you should take the quarterback over the wide receiver. But just from a pure confidence standpoint, I do believe Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player, period, in this draft. So when I look at the draft, will any of these teams in the top 3, the Bears, the Commanders, and the Patriots, will they deviate off a quarterback? If the answer is yes, then okay. Caleb Williams ain't falling. It would either be Drake May or Jaden Daniels. And maybe, this is just one evaluator, maybe other people share that belief. And you have to remember in this draft process, it's just one evaluator. You never know the motives of the person trying to evaluate that player. That person that is giving this evaluation of Drake May want him to land on his team, so he's trying to create this conversation to get him fall. And every year, you hear things about guys that don't match up with the way that we talked about them for the last year, the last 2 years, the last 3 years. And it's because you have these evaluators anonymously speaking, and they're paid for by teams, and they're trying to potentially drive the price down on someone, or they could be their genuine thoughts. But I just, it's like the Anna Rossini thing. I'm not doubting the reporter. I'm not doubting here Lance Zierlein, but I'm doubting the person that's giving the information. Those could be their thoughts, but it doesn't mean that the thought is right, and it doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. So right now, I would still be pretty stunned if Drake May's not going in the top 5 picks of the draft, and I would still be pretty surprised if we don't have 2 quarterbacks go in the first 3 picks, and I would kind of almost be surprised if we don't see 3 quarterbacks go in the first 3 picks as well. Alrighty, it is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come on back. We want to leave plenty of time for Kendrick Bourne, who is scheduled to join us. It's been an action-packed show today with Shawne Merriman, Will Levis, Trevor Lawrence, Robbie Gould, and we got one more segment, one more conversation to get to. And Kendrick Bourne, who played for the 49ers, we'll see if he's back in New England. I thought he was in the doghouse of Matt Patricia, which I don't understand why, and that was 2 years ago. But a lot of chaos in New England. You got a new coach who's been on that staff and played for the team for years in Gerard Mayo. Let's get a lay of the land on the Patriots and the future of Kendrick Bourne, who has good insight on the 49ers as well when we return in 5 minutes. Update time first. Let's send it back to our New York City headquarters. And here is Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, the Chiefs are looking for back-to-back titles, but will likely have to go without Joe Thuney. As head coach Andy Reid said, it'll be a long shot if he plays right now. The offensive lineman has been dealing with a strained pec. Running back Jerick McKinnon, also a long shot according to Reid. The NBA's leading scorer will miss at least a month as Joel Embiid underwent meniscus surgery today. He'll be reevaluated in 4 weeks. He might have been on his way to a second straight MVP award, averaging over 35 points and 11 rebounds a game. The Thunder and Timberwolves share the top spot in the West. Both are in action tonight, while Oklahoma City goes for its 4th straight win. In Utah, the Timberwolves go for back-to-back wins. In Chicago, the Clippers and Denver are both idle. The Mavericks are in Brooklyn as Kyrie Irving back at Barclays Center for the first time since last year's trade.
I'm excited. There's a lot of love in the city, putting a lot of time there. I don't necessarily think about the unfortunate circumstances that I couldn't control. I really just think about the people that impacted me positively, and now I get to just rekindle with them.
In a familiar theme, he has been terrific when in the lineup, but has missed 22 games and just returned from a thumb injury. Clayton Kershaw, on the comeback from shoulder surgery, reportedly agrees to return to the Dodgers for his 17th season. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, this is JR. Let's hang out weeknights here on CBS Sports Radio for my show, The JR Sport Brief, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, welcome back inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. We got a Patriot, or we'll see if he's a Patriot moving into next year, but he's a Patriot the last few seasons, joining us on set. And that, of course, is Kendrick Bourne, also played for the San Francisco 49ers as well. Kendrick, appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it, dude. Pleasure to be here.
So who's your favorite musician? Yeah, I one of these Super Bowls, the Backstreet Boys were on. I had PR people yelling at me, you can't do this, you can't do this. And they were great. They did that rejoin that you just heard. But you're getting ready for a game, or you're just chilling on a Friday night. Who are you listening to?
Who I'm going with, my go-to might be, I'm trying to think, man. I want to pick a good person.
You give me a few.
It probably might be like some Lil Wayne.
Okay.
Drake.
Lil Wayne doing a lot of parties this week.
Lil
I've
Wayne.
got invited to 3 different parties this week, and it's like headlined by Lil Wayne, and 2 of them were in the same night. I go, how's it going to be at 2 places at once? But I guess when you're him, you could probably go to one place for 30 minutes, and then you go to another place and you go for like 2 hours, something
Maybe
like that.
some Meek Mill, get me turned up, get me hyped up.
I lived in Philly for 7 years. Meek Mill, when he got out of prison, I was at the Sixers game, working the Sixers game, I am in the elevator with Meek Mill right as he got released. He goes with the guy that runs Fanatics, Michael Rubin, who's very close with you, so in the Sixers, and they went right to the game. So getting released from prison, going right to the game, and somehow I found my way in an elevator with Meek Mill.
Shout out Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
Shout out Robert Kraft, Mike Rubin.
That's right. Well, unfortunately, you don't know what it's like to win a Super Bowl in New England. You were a part of them when they weren't good, but those Super Bowl parties used to be Meek Mill there. And then all of a sudden he started rooting for his hometown team, the Eagles, again.
Hey, what's the name? Robert Kraft showed me a Dream Chasers chain. Meek Mill gave him. It was crazy heavy at his house. It was great, though.
Robert Kraft, like friendly with Rick Ross. He's friendly with Meek Mill.
He's young. He's young.
He's the youngest, 80-year-old that I've ever encountered.
It's
Robert
phenomenal,
Kraft.
bro. It's phenomenal.
All righty, so I have to ask you this. I can't stand Matt Patricia. I liked him when he ran the defense. On the offensive side of the ball, it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why did he put you in the doghouse? Because I hated what he did to you.
Man, that's a good question, dude. I really don't know, man. I was coming off my best year, and so I was thinking, I'm going back in. I'm going to be able to be out there and whatever, and I guess he just had different plans. So I'm not sure, man. I can honestly say, too, I could have been better in certain areas, but I was getting into the game with it, feeling sorry for myself. So I kind of fell victim to the situation. I could have approached it probably differently as I think about it now. But also, when you have your best players, you give your best players the opportunity to play, I feel like. And that's who I was coming out of 2022. So it was just a tough situation, man. And it just sucks, bro. It was something new. We thought we were going to get somebody different. And I think it was just ultimately not the right choice to put him in that position.
And that's the thing. I'm a common sense guy. I don't have a PhD in football. I'm not going to sit here like all these other dopes on Radio Row and be like, oh, I'm going to tell you about this coverage. I'm going to tell you how to run this route tree, all that stuff. I'm not going to do that. Exactly. But when you bring a defensive guy to run your offense, it had to stop the development of not only Mac Jones, but the rest of the offense. It made no sense. And you probably sitting there as a player saying, what the heck's going on?
And that's the hard part is, like I said, falling into why I couldn't focus on getting better because I'm thinking the same thing you just asked me. Why is he our OC? Why that? And I think it just trickled through the whole year of so much questioning instead of we are who we are. We're still trying to figure out who we are in week 9, 10. Like, bro, we're supposed to be already found our identity, and I think we struggled with that. So we struggled all year.
Did you like playing for Belichick?
I loved playing for Belichick, man. And it's different than what you just asked me. He knows what he's doing. He's been so familiar with everything. And I think Matt Patricia is too. He knows football, but Bill just knows the game to a T. So I just loved everything he taught me, man, how he made me grow as a player, man. He helped my career. He changed my life. He paid me, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm always thankful for that, man. He helped me change my family's life and things like that. So I don't take that for granted. And ultimately, just as a person and as a player, ultimately too, and so I just love that guy, man. I really do.
Was Mac Jones liked in that locker room?
Mac Jones was really liked. I think it was rough in 2023. 2022 obviously was rough, as you just talked about. Yeah. And then 2023, it got more rough. So I think it was 2 years of roughness, of kind of rebuilding and trying to find who we were. And I think it was kind of a toxic place. People pointing the fingers and things like that in the locker room. Not too bad, but you could feel the energy. I've been a part of a winning locker room, as you know, in San Francisco, and it was just different. It was harder to get through those situations. So I don't say he wasn't liked. It was just everybody's point of view is different. So I love Mac. I have a good relationship with him, but I couldn't tell you how somebody else felt. So I think it was just different emotions about him in the locker room.
So you're a free agent now. Mm-hmm. How do you kind of look forward to these next few months and what's ahead for you?
Obviously, I hurt my knee.
Yeah.
And,
how you feeling, by the way?
I'm feeling well.
You're walking around pretty good.
Thank you, bro.
I was like, I remember that you were injured, but I'm like, hey, it looks fine to me.
Thank you, bro. I need that. I need that all over the radio. But so I'm doing great, man.
$20 million a year. Give it to him.
Come on. I've been doing well, man. Rehab's been going great, and just going into free agency. I've been in it once, obviously, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I never thought the Patriots would want me, so I'm kind of in that same boat. I don't know who has interest in me, really. I have relationships throughout the league that I've played for certain coaches, former coaches that are head coaches now, OCs now. So it's really just up in the air. I've built good relationships and going around, being a good person, really treating people with respect, coaches. Not looking at things as, this was bad for me, so I don't like this coach anymore. He was just trying to make me better. So looking at things in the right perspective has helped me build relationships so I could be picked up by who knows. And I didn't have a relationship with Bill or nothing, so it was crazy that I got picked there. So going into free agency, I really just don't know, and I would love to be a Patriot again, though. That is my desire, but never know, man. With this league, it's a business. So.
Can you impersonate Belichick?
Let me see.
This is what you got.
So we're in a team meeting.
Yeah.
We're in a team meeting. I'm gonna say what he said to me. So he'll put me on the board. If I drop the pass or something, he's like, I mean, Bourne, what are you doing? You're supposed to be right here, right now, and then you do this. I mean, it's just bullshit. so he'd do that or something, and he'll call me out or whatever it may be. So
it probably
cool.
sound a little bit more like this. Kendrick, you're all concerned about this clothing brand that you have. Can you just catch the damn ball and make a play?
Hey, that was way better than me.
Do your job. Do your job well, Kendrick, all right? Stop bitching about Patricia.
That is spot on. Spot on. But I love him, dude. I love him. He's great. Bro.
Are you shocked? Like, I'm not shocked that he's not back, but are you shocked that he did not get employed by one of these other teams?
I'm shocked. I'm super shocked. I love the way he goes about things. I love the old school mentality. It's just different eras. I feel like there's new age players, man. This NIL stuff, all these things that come into play with how players' mindsets are. You know what I mean? I think the hard work mentality is tough for him to resonate with certain players that don't have that perspective yet. You know, they don't know how to earn. They've kind of been given things in college in a sense. So I think that's where the miscommunication with certain players with Bill is hard. So, but I hopefully he gets somewhere, man. That'd be cool. Or whatever he does, media, whatever.
You need to now, I think, be a player's coach, but you can't be a doormat.
Yes.
Like, I look at Dan Campbell, player's coach, but has the respect of the locker room.
Great
Antonio Pierce,
example.
player's coach, has the respect of the locker room. A guy like Gerard Mayo, he seems like he's that new style football coach. Your experience with Gerard being on the staff the last few years, how do you think he'll do as a head coach?
That's a great question. He's going to do great, man. Just knowing him, walking around the locker room, seeing him every day, he was consistent every day. He'd walk around with like a bat one day, walk around with a golf club one day, walk around with like a hockey stick one. It was so weird, but it was so unique, and it showed me that he is like different. He's just different. And that's the energy we need. Something just different and unorthodox, bro. So that's the new wave. A young coach, young perspective, and very relatable.
So I was talking to Robbie Gould earlier, and
Gould.
You guys are a part of the Niners, obviously. And you guys are, I don't need to tell you this, you guys are up 10 with 7.5 to play in the Super Bowl,
man.
and you couldn't get the job done. This Niners team, you still knowing people on this team, is this their time, or is it still, man, that 15's a bad dude and they don't got a chance?
That is, I'm in between. So I'm kind of biased because I didn't go back to the Niners and I'm not in the Super Bowl. And I also don't want Patrick Mahomes to win, so I want it to be a tie, ultimately. But, I want the Niners to get them, man, because, like you said, I got a lot of relationships there. I love those guys. I've worked hard with them, blood, sweat, and tears into it, and we weren't able to finish it off. Like you said, man, we were up 10 points, 7 minutes up with the ball, and we couldn't finish it. So if they get in that situation again, hopefully they can finish it out, man.
And there were two things that stood out to me in that game. The pass that was overthrown to Emmanuel Sanders, and then Chris Jones batting that ball down at the line of scrimmage on third down when Kyle should have ran the football.
Yes, so I think Kyle has a big job of knowing when to run the ball. The rumor was back then we didn't run the ball enough. I wasn't a coach or nothing, but we didn't run the ball enough, and so hopefully Purdy can.
It's easier to run the ball now.
Exactly. So they have all the tools, man. Christian, he's back there running the ball great. Debo and Ayuk.
Did you like playing with Debo?
Yeah.
Debo hung up the phone on me this summer in an interview.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, bro. That guy Debo,
we were just talking about the Eagles, and then he just handed the phone off to the PR person. I have nothing against Debo. He's a heck of a football player, but
he's a superstar guy, man. That's just, that's how some of them act, bro.
He just seems like he's all ball. Like that's like he doesn't want to talk to the media. He doesn't want to do it. He just wants to play football.
As we see, he's a football player.
Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. Do they end up getting engaged one day?
Man, bro, that's why I think they're gonna win. That's why they want it to be,
Is it scripted?
I don't know, bro. I'm in between, bro. I'm in between. So, she's so famous, bro. She's bringing in money for the league. It looks good on us. I'm part of the league. I'm part of the shit.
Yeah.
So, however they want to do it, that's cool. But when they get married, I believe in marriage. I'm married. Been married. I'm going 3 years. So
be careful
that'll
what
be a
you're
good
about to say
thing.
here.
That'll be a good thing. That'll be a good thing.
All right, before we let you run, tell me everything about your clothing brand.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, bro. So my clothing brand is Born Blessed. You know, no matter what you've been through, you were born blessed. I think it's a perspective mindset, just how you think about things, you know. Anything bad happening to you, you know, it can be to make you better. It's not about why me or anything like that, like I was trying to explain through the interview. And I think that's the mindset behind, you know, the brand that I'm trying to build is having a good perspective to use the trials and tribulations that you've been through to make you better, man. And I think that's what I've done to have a successful career so far, man. So shout out to Born Blessed, man. BourneDrip.com is the website if you want to buy some clothes, man. And just trying to grow it, trying to do everything, man, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm going to be transparent with you. I do not think you're back in New England next year. Well, because from your perspective, right, you're getting later in your career. You got one more contract here. I could already tell you people are going to doubt you because of coming off the injuries. I think you end up going to a title contender, and the Patriots right now aren't one of them.
I appreciate that, Zach. That's what I'm saying. So, honestly, what I was just saying earlier to my agent that, you know, we were in a rebuild, so they might take off. I don't want to miss that. You know, I was with the Niners in that era.
It could change quickly. Look at the Texans this year.
Oh my goodness!
But you got to draft a quarterback.
But
that's
you're
like
right,
CJ
dude.
Stroud. All right, it's not brain surgery here. You got to get some talent. You got to get a quarterback, and you got to get a coach.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man, we'll see, man, where I end up. I'm excited, man. I love the unknown, man. Just having faith, man. You know, God got it in His hands, and He's gonna put me where I need to be to help certain people. It's all ordained in a sense. So
well, that's why they say you were born blessed.
Yes, sir.
Patrick Bourne, appreciate you joining us today. It's the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. That's actually all the time we have today. We'll be back tomorrow. That was a awesome 3-hour show. We'll do it all again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. It's the Zach Gelb Show. We out. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Peace.